Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
This is Dan Hofel from Talk is Cheap, and you're listening to Unbiased and on the Fence with Shane Robinson.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
This is Shane with Unbiased and On the Fence. You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
All right. What is up, you guys? Not sure what happened there at the end. I bumped a button or did something. Who knows? But welcome, everyone, to the Friday Night Love Stream. And, of course, thank you, everyone, last week for explaining that that was a rebroadcast, because I guess I had a few people that were kind of confused by that, and I should have maybe started with rebroadcast in the title. Who knows? There's always, I guess, a better way of doing things, but what are you going to do, you know? So phone lines are wide open. If you'd like to know anything about Sedona, call in and ask. I've been putting pictures together, tons of video and images and everything. I can't wait to put it all together just so you guys can sort of take a trip with me to the different sites, because I didn't get to do a lot of that the last time around. So we took a little tax money. We said, hey, you know what, since it's my birthday, and you know, it was almost exactly 6 months to the day that we were out there, so that I was out there before. So 6 months later we return. I get to visit a lot of the vortexes and meditate and do a lot of hiking, and realize that I'm way more out of shape than I thought I was. All right, let's see. Oh, let's see here. We got somebody calling in from 989 area code. Welcome to the broadcast. You're live. Who am I talking to?
It's Rita.
Hey, Rita.
Excuse me. Hi. Welcome home, and we can't wait to hear more about your trip.
You know what? That's so funny, because I was just sitting there thinking there was just a lot of hiking, a lot of resting, and I guess meditating worked a lot with that, because you really do feel like I didn't realize how out of shape I was. So I got out there and started. I'm like, this is the easy one? What the heck? So anyway, yeah, so I get out there and realize that, you know, each day got better though, you know, but I felt like, and then the air is real thin, so it feels like you're not getting enough oxygen. And but we took it easy. It was good.
It sounds good. I wanted to tell you, when you were talking the other day about the trees being crooked and like they're being pulled up by the vortexes.
Yeah.
Out where we had the pictures, where had the pictures on the game camera.
Mm-hmm.
There is 2 little trees about 4 or 5 inches in diameter and about 10 to 12 inches apart, and they are growing in a spiral together.
Oh, wow.
It is, and it's area.
That would make sense. Maybe it's like a little vortex area right there. That would make it. That would explain a lot why you're seeing what you're seeing and stuff. You know.
Yeah, I spotted those the other day, and then when you said that the other day about the trees, I said, yes, that's it.
Yeah. And that's really the only, other than actually feeling it, for the people that are sensitive enough to feel it. Like, I didn't really notice it until I put my attention on it. So I assume that someone that's a little bit more, sensitive to those types of things could get there and feel like, wow, this feels awesome or something. But for me, I had to really get into a meditative state and concentrate, and I could definitely feel it at that point. But I could have easily missed it, if I just was kind of ignorantly wandering through that area. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think, you're just so in awe of the, all the beauty of it, too. Then you forget to pay attention to the energy sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling everybody last time. Like, it's such a cool place. I don't know if I'm just excited because of what I'm seeing or if I'm actually feeling something. I couldn't be sure. But when I actually... This time around, I wasn't in shock, I knew what I was going to expect and everything. So I sat down, and immediately when I had my hands on the rocks, I could feel the tingles going through my whole body. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I can definitely feel this.
Oh, yeah. So I was there one time and was there for 4 or 5 days, and towards the end, and we were meditating and things, and I was there for a retreat. So finally I keyed into the energies more, so
yeah. Fun. I think a lot of this stuff is like that.
Yeah. I also wanted to say, I sometimes feel like in the chat, like I'm chatting too much. I respond to everybody, and I'm just so excited to find out that all these things that have happened to me are happening to other people. So I'm fairly new, I guess, and so I get excited and chat away.
No, I'm glad you do. I'm glad all of you all do. I just love that, because there's people that I'm sure join in just for the chat portion of it, and maybe they're lurkers and they don't join in, but they like to read it. So I always appreciate that, and I hate when somebody gets left out. If somebody says something nobody notices because they're kind of in their own conversation. So I'm glad we have people in there. That's what I love about Jose. She'd always be sure she'd hit up everybody, and nobody would go unseen and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's what I try to do too. And so anyway, yeah, I know some of you have been on here. How long has your show been going? How many years?
This call-in show for about a year, I guess. But it was February 2017 that I started uploading videos. Well,
I've only been on 3 or 4 months, and I am just so excited to be part of the whole tribe.
Yeah, it is cool. It's I think it's like a divine gathering of like-minded people, because for so many of us we felt alone in any of the ways we thought, but it's nice to get with some similar people. Like one Eileen was just saying in one of her newest videos, just that you can really tell that it's great that, we've lived so long feeling like nobody believed or had anything similar to the way we believed, and now we come out and it's like, wow, all these other great people, Yeah. So that's cool.
Yes. And what's exciting for me too is to find out there's other grandmas out there too that have woke up recently. Well, I have since probably 2004, but really woke up. And it's exciting, just the age difference in the group, and talking to young people now, I just love it, their energy, and I just am drawn to them and start talking to them. And some of them are wide awake too, and others, they need a little nudge. So,
yeah. And that's cool, because everybody's like respected at wherever they're at, and nobody's has any agendas they're trying to push or anything, which is way different than what we're used to, you know.
Yes, yes, very much.
But yeah, it's
well,
awesome.
Well, I have a whole lot to say, but I wanted to tell you about those 2 trees and just tell you I'm excited to be in the chat, and I overtalk sometimes, but I love it.
You can't talk too much. No worries there. No, I appreciate you being there.
Okay, good. So I wonder if anybody else wants to talk. Is there anybody raising their hand?
No, not just yet. I can go to a little WingMakers if you don't want to talk anymore. But you're welcome to stick around.
Oh, no, I can continue talking. I can always talk. But if someone raises their hand, just let me know, and I'll.
Okay. Yeah, everybody's chatting it up in the. But that's cool. I need somebody to chat with. So.
Okay.
So have you had the game camera out? For everyone who doesn't know, this is Rita from the chat. We showed her images of these strange-looking beams of light or something coming down. It was picked up by her game camera out in the trees, night vision, and just really bizarre. Yeah, several times.
Uh-huh. And then when Shane was talking about the vortexes in Sedona and those trees being twisted, it's like the sign that I needed. Yes, there's a little vortex there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should go out and see. Have you? I guess you've had those prayer circles and stuff out there. Have you done any like meditating and like barefoot out there and just really try to ground and see if you might shift?
Well, not yet. It's just now warming up in central Michigan. So
right. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I will do that.
Well, if you get to 5D, throw a rope back through for us, will you?
Yeah, okay. I will. So, yeah, and isn't it exciting how time is going faster and we're feeling all these energies and everybody's feeling something a little different and a lot of us the same and just imagine if we didn't have each other now. And we were feeling these things.
Yeah, wow. I know. You're totally right about that. I've often wondered that. And, you know, I always go back to the Mandela effect. I'm like, man, if I was 70 years old and I was experiencing the Mandela effect, I would just think I'm losing my marbles for sure, you know. So that's why I always felt it's important to say, hey, if you remember something one way and it's the other, you know, because I'm sure people just don't hear about it. And it's not something you would talk about if you thought you were losing your marbles. You're like, oh, they're going to really put me in a home now, you know. So absolutely. I always try to bring that up along with all the other quote unquote crazy things that we see and believe and experience and all of that, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it looks like no one's chatting. Are they not? Or do I not have it on here?
Let's see here. Yeah, I think they're chatting here. Not very much. Okay. I guess they're into our conversation.
Okay.
Always look forward to the show. 38 years old. Yeah, I did notice how we have, I don't know, probably 30s and above. There's probably a few younger people.
Yeah, so we'll just have to direct some more to call. Well, you know, they probably have their own gatherings, you know.
Yeah, they do. You remember, that's why I brought over, that time I brought over, gosh, I'm not going to, Alexa, what is her name? She's got the channel that, I see her thing come up all the time, I watch it or whatever, but
Luna
it's Ascension Diaries is her channel name. And I want to say her name is Alexis.
Okay.
Alexis. Sorry if I'm messing that up. I know I'm messing up, but I know her by the channel name. But yeah, she's younger, and she's got, you know, like you mentioned, the Luna Ash, I think is another one that's, because I noticed her in these other channels, noticed Luna Ash and these other channels that Alexis is in. So yeah, there is. Okay. There's, you know, and there a lot of them are into that astrology and tarot and things like that, which is cool with me. I never have been a big tarot person, but I think it's cool, you know.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's exciting to know that YouTube is connecting so many of us. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I thought it would be good to have her on for you know, if anybody has any younger generation people, they can, you know, kind of bridge that gap. Sort of like I'm always trying to do with like belief systems and stuff, but now between demographics as well, you know.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Like just always gathering. So, okay, so the weather up there, it was cold in Sedona. I couldn't believe how cold it was. It was like 30 one morning. It was actually Flagstaff because we drove to Flagstaff. It was way cheaper to stay there. And the drive down was awesome. But it was still like 30 degrees. And, you know, the drive down to Sedona in the mountains there was still snow that hadn't melted like for, looked like at least a week or two. And so it never seemed to warm up good enough to melt it. I guess the high altitude or something. I don't really know. But what's the temperature like in your neck of the woods? Is it getting any better up there?
It is. We're in the upper 40s and 50s and supposed to hit some 60s. Well, we did hit upper 60 last week, so it's kind of up and down right now, which is good for the maple syrup. Gap. So, because you got to have warm days and cold nights for the sap to run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we have a little town near us here that has a big maple syrup festival every last day of April. And so all the trees have been tapped around here, and I'm sure they're liking this weather.
Oh, okay,
if it got too warm, then it would quit running. It has to get cold at night.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you dabble with that yourself?
No, we did one year, but you have to collect a whole lot of stuff, a lot of syrup to boil down to get a sap to boil down to get your syrup. Like, I think it takes something like 20 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup or something like that.
Oh, Lord.
So,
that's a lot.
Yeah. So that's why you see these maple syrup huts where they've got these big vats and they, you know, stuff them with wood and keep the fire going and boil it down that way. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, it looks like we have somebody else that's calling in. So I appreciate you sticking it out with me here, Rita, and keeping it interesting.
Well, like I said, I can always talk. So, all right. Well, thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks for chatting a lot, too. I appreciate that.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.
You too.
The Love Street.
Unbiased and on the fence.
All right, going back to the phone lines, 845 area code. You are live. Who am I talking to?
How about that, Rita, huh?
Yep.
What a peach, huh? What a peach she is.
And who
God,
are
I
you?
love that conversation. Doc, hey Doc, I gotta tell you something.
Hello? Are you there? All right. Oh, got Rita off for nothing. Okay, let's see what I have going on here. All right, phone lines are open. Play a little WingMakers material. How's that? All right, we got Ronnie in Florida on the line. How are you doing today, Ronnie?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. Sorry if you thought we were live. I meant to tell you that we weren't live yet.
Oh, that's okay. We can start over.
So yeah, the trip to
we were having a private conversation, you guys.
Yeah, about Sedona, and I was like sitting here thinking, wait a minute, everybody's gonna want to hear this. Let me fade the music out. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, the Sedona trip.
Well,
it was. Oh yeah, the WingMakers. Yeah, I love that stuff. It's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, really, it did wear on us quite heavily, just physically. I mean, wow. I mean, we crashed out at I want to say 6 p.m. and we were up eating breakfast before light and ready to go back out and do it again. And so we were worn out.
Well, I wonder how much of that is the energy of the place, though.
I wonder that
because
too.
When you change your energy state, it wears on you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, with the different waves of energy that are coming in, I know, some people, it just leaves you flat. You're just oh, I can't move.
Yeah.
So, but it seems like different energy affects different people differently.
Yeah, and somebody had mentioned also that altitude, they get altitude sickness, and I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if that's why I felt dizzy. So there's so many little things to consider, and you never know where it's coming from,
Yeah, that's true. But, but altitude sickness tends to be headache. I think is one of the first symptoms is you start getting a headache, and flu-like symptom.
Right.
So not just wearing yourself out, tired, kind of.
Yeah.
Did you feel good, tired, or was it drained, tired?
A little bit of both. It felt like it was really wearing on me, but then again, each day it seemed to get easier, While being sore from the previous day, and then, but still feeling better. You know what I mean? I wasn't really expecting that, so there is something really rejuvenating about it. Just being out in nature.
Well, you've been back for a week now.
Since
you've been back just a few days.
Yep, that's the first. So we actually got back Monday.
How do you feel now? Do you feel any change in you now?
Yeah, I've kind of felt a little sleepy. Yeah, maybe I don't know, coming down off the high vibe of the trip and everything. But, that's one of those things, again, that you're like, well, is it just because of the excitement of it's dying off, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. I never know. It sucks being on the fence about everything. You're like, I don't know.
Too many variables. Yeah.
Never a definitive answer for me. It's probably just a mixture of everything. That's what I always feel like,
Yeah, definitely. But the things that you feel are real.
Yeah.
That's you get that tingling feeling in your body. That's not something that you get unless you're holding on to an alive wire.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when I was in Spain. I got a used stove oven unit. What do they call the range?
Mm-hmm.
And some guy came and was gonna hook it up for me. So I was so excited. I was like, yay, I can cook. So I grab a pot of water and I go over and I turn the stove on and I put the water on, and I just feel from my head to my feet, I'm just tingling. My whole body was tingling. So that was the only time that I have felt a similar thing to what I feel when I feel that spirit connection. Yeah.
You didn't have it grounded.
And it was, yeah, no, he didn't ground it. I turned into the ground. So that was, 220, 50 hertz over in Spain. So that was fun.
Yikes.
I was like, I didn't cook again for a while. I had to get somebody else to come and
Was anybody with you when it happened?
No, just my son. It was just me and my son. He was 3. So
I wonder if he saw your skeleton like in the cartoons.
I'll have to ask him. He has a good memory for his early childhood. Oh yeah, I remember that time I saw your skeleton, though.
But yeah, that's precisely right what you're saying about the tingles, though, because they make the hair stand up on your neck, and I mean, it's something real, very real that you're experiencing at that time. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because I question myself. I'm like, okay, am I doing this? Is this my own, mental state? And I'm creating this sensation myself without knowing that I'm doing it. So I try, I make myself try. Okay, I'm going to make myself feel that. And I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, even I can be relaxed, but when I try to do it, it does not ever work. Never. It just happens, and then I'm like, oh, there's that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I was like, I wasn't even expecting anything. I'm like, I'm not going to feel anything. And when I did, I was really surprised. I mean, I know the energies are there. You can see the way the trees grow and stuff like that. You can see the evidence of it, But, as far as actually feeling it, I didn't know that I'd be able to. What's that?
Did you put out a video? And I missed it?
No, actually, no. I've got one I've been working on. It's like I got all this footage. I'm like, oh my gosh, that took so much footage, so many pictures, and so yeah, it's just time consuming, and I want to definitely not miss anything.
It is. I went to Colorado. We were working temporarily out of Denver area, and so every chance we got, we were up in the mountains taking pictures and, running out to the parks and everything. And when I got home, I had over 1,000 photos. I was like, what am I going to do with these? I'm never going to be able to look at them all.
Yeah, and I had 900 and something photos and videos combined. So I don't know how many of each, but yeah, it's quite a bit. I was just putting it all in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much footage to go through. But
you did a lot more than me. I was there for 6 weeks, and I had over 1,000 photos. So you must have been living behind your camera, man.
I was trying to capture every moment I could, and I guess what happened is I had to take a lot of breaks, and every time I took a break, I'd pull my camera out and take some pictures. Sort of my excuse for taking a break. That way, I just look like a tourist instead of an out of shape old guy.
Oh, you're not old. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't believe it. I was talking to my uncle. He called yesterday. He's going to be 77. I was like, ah. And his kid, who I remember being born, I think I was 12 when his oldest son was born. He is in his late 40s. I was like, no way. That can't be right. And I started doing the math, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it is, because I'm 57. Yeah. So I'm another Gen Xer. I'm right on the cusp between Gen X and Boomers, so I can kind of talk to both groups. But mostly I identify with the millennials. The things that I've always held on to, my core beliefs, I think are really aligned with the young people today. And I think that they're so much further ahead than I was when I was their age. When I was 20, I didn't care about anything. I was like raising my kid, going to work, and if I got a chance to go out and have a couple of drinks with everybody, that was cool, So that was my life. And I knew, though, a part of me, I thought of it, and it was like, when I am in my 40s, I am going to turn into a spiritual person. And I knew it, like a fact, like somebody had, written it down, and I had read it, and that was the future was right there. So.
Yeah, and what you're saying about the young people, man, it's like, gosh, I just think of how far along they are, and I'm like, wow, you're like realizing that at 20. I mean, there are still the kids that just like to have fun and party and stuff, but I think the percentage of awakened younger people has really grown since I was young,
Well, even if they, if you can get them to stop partying for a little while and just talk to them, their outlook on life is so much more enlightened than when I was young anyway, and you were younger.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with religion too, with its dominance years ago and how it is now.
I made my son go to church with my mom, and mostly it was because she taught Sunday school and she needed help carrying stuff, and I just couldn't abide it. I couldn't go. You know, I just she was Baptist then, and you know, I just was very reactionary. The only nice way to put it. That I just couldn't go myself. So I sent him, and you know, he got to spend some quality time with his grandma and help her in her chores and carrying her materials in and stuff. So, you know, he appreciated that time, but being exposed to the hardcore Baptist, you know, belief system didn't do a thing for him. It didn't impact his beliefs. You know, it just kind of turned him off of church more. So I found that really interesting. Like,
see, I think I would have been that way too if it wasn't from the time I was learning to talk and walk that it was fed to me, you know? I mean, I learned it like I learned my language and the colors and everything. Yeah. It was just that ingrained at the youngest age. So it's so hard to imagine what I would have done if it had been brought to me later on. I'm always thankful because I feel like it, you know, it was just the path I was supposed to walk, you know, and figure it all out, you know.
Yeah, you know, if what they say is true, that, you know, you pick your family and your contract and everything before you arrive here, then that is the path that you chose. So, yeah. You know, it's good that you're accepting it. You know, people who have so much regret over their life path, I think that's really sad because, you know, so what if you made mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
If you're learning from it eventually, then it's okay in the end, you know? If people need to forgive you and you don't feel like they're forgiving, I think that's really hard for families, though. You know, like my sister had a drug problem when she was young. And then, you know, she was just a wild child, and, you know, and part of it was not even her fault, I think. You know, it was just circumstance. She was born in 1960. So when she was growing up, it was very, you didn't have curly hair unless you were an old lady and it was 2 inches long, you know, then you could have curly hair. Right. But you know, for a young girl, everybody had to have straight hair. She used to make me, I literally used an iron on an ironing board and ironed her hair to try and straighten it out because she had this furiously curly hair. And the humidity in Florida was so bad. It was just like all the time, you know, I'd iron it and 2 hours later it would be back to, you know, full bush. And she just, you know, she couldn't do anything with it. She couldn't control it. And my father would get furious with her and scream at her, oh, you have to tie your hair up, it's in your face. She couldn't help it. It was just the way it grew, you know. Yeah. So they had a really contentious relationship from early because he just, you know, couldn't tolerate anything about her. It was so sad. So sad. And yeah, so, you know, she rebelled. Finally, she just rebelled and was like, well, you know, if you're not going to love me for who I am, then I'm just going to be whoever I want. So she went wild and looked for affection where she could find it, since she couldn't get it from her family, you know. And so I forgot what my point was, but yeah, so she made a lot of mistakes. You know, you could consider that her life was mistakes, but it wasn't, because it was her life. And she lived it the way she needed to get to the place where she finished it, you know. So, you know, there's like, if you look at it, you start at a point and it branches off eventually, and then that branches off, and it branches off, and branches off. But all the points eventually are going to lead to the same place where you make your exit, you know. So is there a wrong path? I don't think so. You know,
no,
there's people
I don't
who
think
make
so
me
either.
sad.
I think there's a hard and an easy path. And I'm trying to always figure out, you know, and it seems like the less you fight it, the more you are aware and alert, and you pay attention to the little signs, the more you can avoid taking the hard path. So that's the sort of where I am now. I'm like always looking for the easy way out, I guess. I guess we're always doing that, but I'm just trying not to fight the system too much, you know, on all levels.
I always wanted to control everything. I realized I should have been like a movie director or something, because I just wanted everybody to do this or do that and do, you know, be calm and peaceful. So, I really wanted a lot of control over my environment directly, not out in the world, but around me personally. And so I just was really rebellious. And it was like anybody who tried to tell me what to do, I couldn't stand it. I would find some way. Even in the Navy, excuse me, we would have to wear, you know, uniforms, and I would wear like the wrong color T-shirt, the wrong color socks. It wouldn't show. It wasn't obvious. But, you know, I knew that I was breaking the rules, and I wasn't going to follow their stupid, you have to wear black sock rules. You know, it's we're working in Texas on a flight line, and it's 1,000,000 degrees with, you know, airplane exhaust blowing on you, and you're wearing black socks, please, you know. No.
I think most of it have that rebel bone in us, though, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. So
that's what I always say about Jesus. I'm like, he was like the biggest rebel there was, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. How could you not be? Your whole people is following a religion, and you're telling them, nope, I'm here to change it all.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty courageous. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's back when they just kill you for anything, you know.
Oh yeah. Thank goodness I didn't live back then. I couldn't have survived.
We probably didn't. I always think that I'm like, I for sure died if I lived back then, because I was killed, probably eaten by a lion or something, because I would have, if I said some of the things I've said now, I'd be gone many times over.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. So, I had said a while ago that I had stopped dreaming. It was like I wasn't dreaming at all. And I finally started dreaming again. So that was really nice. And I think part of it was like the energy that there were just, when I went to sleep, I was like a stone. And then part of it, I think, was I have a necklace that my husband gave me. I don't know what kind of stone it is, but I actually think that it was like stopping my dreams, because I would wear it to sleep, and I found it was like digging into my skin, so I quit wearing it at night, and I started dreaming again. So I don't know if that was coincidence, or you know, just because I found something to focus my attention on.
Right. But
it's nice to be dreaming again, and they've been pretty epic. I really don't remember them. I know I had one that I remembered, and one of the first ones was like a big black wolf just following me around. And it reminded me, did you ever watch Star Trek Next Generation?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, there's one where
Worf
Deanna
guy or
Troi
whatever?
is... No, Deanna Troi, her mother is like losing her mind, and she's dreaming. Deanna is dreaming, and she's trying to find her mother, and there's like this wolf just, you know, it doesn't really do anything. Maybe it did, I don't remember, but it just reminded me of that, like this big wolf inappropriately placed in wherever it was. It was just like, why is there a wolf here? And it was, but it was very aware. It was watching, and I was like, okay, what are you? I don't know. So that was weird. I still don't know what that one was about. But then
so you felt like it was more of a protector, or how'd you feel about it?
I don't know. I felt, at first I was nervous. I looked at it, I was like, okay, that's a really big wolf. And, but then it just stood there, and I was like, okay, hi, wolf. You know, you just didn't come over. It didn't approach or anything. It just stood there watching. And when I moved, it stayed, like, it did follow me, but not like aggressively. It was just watching. So it was interesting. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
It's probably like
and then we got
vicious etheric pet or something that's guarding you at all times.
I don't know. Well, you know, that's interesting, because I had gotten, when my son was little, we got a German Shepherd from the pound,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he was a full-blood German Shepherd. I think he was a wolf hybrid mix.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really weird. He never acted like a dog. He acted like a wolf. His personality, his demeanor, you know, he was very shy and nervous of people throughout his whole life. It didn't matter, you know, how long he knew somebody, except for me and my son.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we were the pack, and then everybody else was like people he just had to watch. So I wonder if that was him.
Wow.
That could have been him.
Totally, yeah.
Nah, he would have come. He would have come up. He would have come to visit, say hi.
So do you feel
know.
like these are out-of-body type of experience dreams, or have you been feeling like, I don't know.
I only had an out-of-body type experience one time, and that was just like a few months ago when I was meditating. I don't know if it was one of the ones that y'all were doing, you and Eileen were doing, and I had I zoomed away through the dark toward a speck of light, but I went so fast, I was like zoom, and it was a doorway, and it was you know, just really bright light in it, and I just stood there and I was like, okay, yeah, I've been here, and I zoomed back. That was it. I was like, why didn't you go through? Why didn't you even poke your head in and look around, dummy? So, yeah, I didn't. I was just like content and satisfied. Okay, yeah, I've been here. I'm standing on this doorstep. I'm going back now. Bye. Yeah.
That's funny.
How
yeah,
weird.
It is, because when you get to that place, it's like all of your questions dissolve away, and all of your, I don't know. It just seems like you're just in a blissful place. I can totally see getting to that point and just being like, none of that's even important anymore. You know, that's what it seems like.
Yeah. I don't even care why I'm here. I'm just standing here, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm going back now. Yeah, that was crazy. But we got a puppy a couple of weeks ago. We have a Kangol dog.
Yeah.
It's a Turkish Kangol, and they're a livestock guardian dog. They're big. They're like Great Dane size. And so she was 11 weeks old and 30 pounds. So she's like, you know, this huge dog. And I think we should have named her Jaws, because her mouth just never stops. She looks at you and she wants to bite, and she just opens her mouth. If I made a video of her and put her on YouTube, she would scare people from, you know, babies would cry and children would scream and say, no, I don't want a dog. She is so frightening looking. It's crazy. So,
but she's really nice as can be? Or is she really vicious?
No, she's not. She's a willful, smart. She already learned how to open a doorknob. When she stands up, she can reach the doorknob, and she knows that that's what opens the door. If she could get her mouth around it, I think she would try and open it. So, yeah, she's reaching for it. She wants to open the door when she wants to open the door. So she's smart, and she's willful, and she's pushy, but she's amazing. You know, it's like just a really strong spirit in her, you know. So
And you said it's 11 weeks old right now?
I think she's 13 weeks now. We've had her 2 weeks. But she's 30 pounds at 11 weeks. Yeah.
Golly.
So big baby. Yeah. So I had a dream right after we got her. I was like, we made a mistake. You know, I can't handle this dog. She's crazy, and she just, you know, I can't manage her. So I dreamed of, it looked like a lion up on a big white pedestal off in the distance, about probably like halfway down a football field, about 50 yards away. But when I looked, I realized they call those dogs the lion of the desert in Turkey. That's their old name. They're a really old dog. They've had them for thousands of years. And so it looked like a lion, but I looked harder, and it was hard to see because there was like this beam of light just coming down out of the sky and shining on this animal and on the pedestal, and it was blinding. But you could see a little of the color and the outline. And so I thought it was a lion, and then I was like, no, is that a dog? That looks like a Kangal dog. But I never saw it more clearly than that, so I'm just assuming it was a Kangal dog and not a lion. But it was just like something I needed to see. Like, you need this dog. This dog is special. It has, here's this light is on this dog. So I was like, okay, that was weird. But then
that's cool though.
The other. Yeah. It was a beautiful dream. I mean, I wish that I had more art ability on the computer so I could draw it. So I don't have any paints right now. So maybe when I get paints, I'll try and recreate it. It was stunning. And then I guess it was early this week, I again had decided, I was like, this dog is too much. I can't deal with, because we have to take her downstairs to go out to spend time. I can take her out the front door on a leash, but there's like a basement with a walk out to the backyard, and that's the flat area that's fenced in where she can play. So I can't carry a 30-pound dog up and down these stairs. So I was like feeling really frustrated, and I was thinking about it, and our older dog was not accepting her. He just wouldn't go near her, would growl at her, and I thought he was going to try and kill her when she got loose and she ran over to him. So I was like, I'm going to have to get up in the morning and talk to my husband, and we're just going to have to find her a home out on a farm someplace with animals where she'll be happy. And I got up the next day. My husband had gone out to walk, and I put her on the leash and took her out. And when I came in, the big dog came over. So I was like, oh no, and I grabbed her and held her close. Well, he came up and sniffed her, and as soon as he sniffed her, he went down into play posture. I was like, oh my God. I was like, if he had waited another day to do that, I would have been looking for a new home for her. But I thought of, that this was a mistake and we got to get rid of this dog, and the next day he accepts her. I was like, wow. That's just, we have to have this dog. I don't know why.
That's wild how it just worked out like that too.
Yeah. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, so have you noticed... Have you noticed anything with the interactions with animals? Like people talk about, like they seem like they're more in tune or anything?
With me and animals, or with animals just out in the world? I haven't seen anything. I haven't had any animals come up to me or, anything like that. I
haven't had them come up to me or anything. Just seem like they aren't afraid, just like out in nature and stuff. But, sometimes we know people with pets or cats or dogs or whatever, and they might say something. So I just didn't know if you'd heard anything, just either personally or with other people.
There was. There was one night. We have deer, and the deer will come through the yard. And so one night I was sitting and I heard the deer, and so I stood up to see what the noise was. I thought it was a deer because it didn't sound like a person walking. It sounded too light-footed. But I wanted to see what it was, so I stood up. And when I stood up, the deer froze. And I was like, oh, I scared her. So I just stood there and stayed real still for a while. I was hoping that, she would just turn and go about her business. And it took a little while. And finally I was like, oh, it's okay, Mama. She had a baby. I was like, it's okay, Mama. And, I'm not going to hurt you. And as soon as I said that, she just started walking. So that was kind of weird because that was far away. She was far away from me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this was a family that I saw too that just, they didn't even really stop or anything. They looked over at me, noticed me, and just kept walking. And I would say they were probably 4 car lengths away, so they weren't like right up on me, but probably 50 feet away or so.
Wow.
But it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of fearless. Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, the
But,
ones
you know, I
here,
was
they're
meditating,
not.
so I wonder if it's like a peaceful thing, like, you know, maybe telepathically they can sense your mind state that you're in, and like maybe yours were hesitant because you were afraid that you scare them, so they still picked up on that fear, even though it wasn't really directed at them, you know, because I'm sure like with telepathy, it's not really words, it's just, you know, sensing the feeling that you're having or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes I think that, you know, it seems like the dogs know what you're feeling. You know, like after my sister died, my dog was so tender to me. It was the weirdest thing. It was like, this dog doesn't know what happened to me. It just knows how I feel, and it knows I feel really bad. So it was a complete change in behavior from before she had died to after she died, when I was so upset. So, you know, whether it's they can see it on your face, I don't know how well they can read human, you know, expression, but, you know, they certainly sense something in our energy. So,
well, that's what I was wanting to
that.
check out, the I guess it's the pet psychic people videos that people have been talking about. Michelle mentioned it Tuesday, and when we went off the air, she goes, oh, you know what, I meant to say how animals are confused because, like, the dog owner will say one thing but be fearful of another, you know, like maybe fearful the dog's going to run out in the street, so it's like, come here, and it's saying come here, but while he's like imagining it running out in the street, well, they're picking up telepathically these images of them running out in the street. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just kind of,
oh, she wants me to run out in the street. Okay.
Right. Because that's what they're fearful of, you know. Or it happens a lot, you know, if you're afraid your dog's going to, like, jump on someone or lunge on someone, and you're, like, imagining them doing that, not wanting them to, but they're like, oh, you want me to play with them? Okay. And it, like, runs over and jumps on them. And I don't know. It's just kind of funny when you think of it that way, that we're sending these little pictures and saying the opposite, and they're really just picking up on our pictures, and we need not to. I've heard that with kids, you know, you don't say don't go play in the street because they don't see don't as a word, so they just see themselves playing in the street. You want to say play in the yard, you know, only play in the yard or whatever.
Yeah. Do this, not don't do that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's about the same, you know, they say that intelligence-wise that a dog is probably like a 3 or 4 year old.
Yeah.
Some of them I think are older. We had one. He was a Doberman. I swear that dog was like a person. He was so smart. It was scary.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not normal. This dog is so weird. He was beautiful though. He was a really beautiful dog. Broke my heart when he died. So.
Yeah, that is one of those things when you see the
have
awareness.
Short lives.
Yeah,
Pardon?
That does suck about them having such short lives. Yeah, I was just saying how creepy it is when there is a level of awareness in a dog's eyes that seems uncommon.
Yeah, shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It's like, you shouldn't be that smart.
Right.
Yeah, he would, you know, it didn't get really cold frequently in Florida, but there were nights when it was down in the 20s, you know, and he had that little short coat, so I got a sweater for him, and he loved his clothes. He would look at himself in the mirror. He would stand there and be still and let me put it on, and then he'd go over and check himself out in the mirror like, yeah, I look good.
Wow.
You're wrong, dog. You're not supposed to do that.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny as a video.
Yeah, I wish I had caught it. Oh man, he was something else. So
that is really cool.
Let's see what else is going on. Well, I had talked to my angel about the last wave of energy that was coming, and he said that it was all about the moon.
Mm-hmm.
That the energy was actually not affecting us, it was affecting the moon, and the change in the moon was going to affect our ability to connect out. That it was like turning off something, that the moon has been blocking us or something.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's what I got. So this month is all about the moon.
That's cool.
And then last night, I was meditating, and I was using my tarot cards, and it was again all about the moon. So I was like, okay, so what? You want me to do something with the moon? And it's yes. And so it was send love to the moon. Just
Send
love.
love to the
So
moon.
everybody send some love energy to the moon if you get a few minutes.
Awesome.
Send it a hug. Yeah, don't know why.
That's cool, though. That's
I don't-
definitely something to consider. And it can't hurt sending the
Yeah.
moon some love, so I'm down for it.
Yeah, we don't appreciate it enough.
Yeah.
I mean, moonlit night is just so beautiful. You sit over by a river or the ocean, and the moon comes out. It's gorgeous. So yeah, the moon is important. Plus, it makes all those nice waves and tides and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, I do enjoy the moon when it's out. And, I do enjoy it when it's not out, when I can check out the stars, but I'm never disappointed when it's in sight. It's like still like, oh wow, the moon, you know. It doesn't get old. It's a very cool thing for night gazing anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, it does block out the stars if you're into looking at stars, but I like the moon. So
Yeah.
that's, I think it's David Icke talks about Saturn and the moon were like a system, that Saturn was beaming to the moon and the moon was our control body
Right. Yeah.
close to us. So whatever that was, if that was true, then the last energy wave broke it. So we're
Nice.
free. We're free.
That kind of goes along with what Cosmic Agency, Gosha, that I had on, was talking about. The moon was projecting the matrix here, the 3D matrix or whatever. So that's interesting on multiple levels, really, if you consider it. How, I don't know, just the ramifications of something like that happening could mean a lot for a lot of different worldviews and how things work, you know.
Yeah, that different people get different things.
Yeah.
And it all kind of comes together to a cohesive, meaningful, not a fact, but, here's an item. I'm like you. I think I like your show so much because of the unbiased and on the fence part. It's like, half the time I can't believe the stuff that is happening. It's like, and I keep questioning it. And I'm like, okay, I need proof. So I like when it happens. And actually that happened. I the other night I was having a week and I was like, I just feel so blah. And so like nothing's happening and, like everything that over the past year was just my imagination and I've lost my mind and now I'm back and, this is all just crazy stuff. What am I doing? What am I thinking? What's going on? And so I just went to bed and I was like, you know what? I need some signs. I need it, give me some synchronicities because I don't get those, I never have. And so I was like, I want something. So the next day I was playing a game on my iPad and the little cookies that you get, the little extra things that it gives you, it was the 3 things. 2 of them were the same number, and then the third one was that number reversed.
Oh,
I was like, oh, okay, that's a synchronicity.
Yeah.
And then, a couple minutes later, I was like, okay, that was really wild. I like that, but I've got to go about my day now. So I got up. It was 11:11. It's like, that's my first 11:11. First one ever. And
wow.
It came the night after I asked. Yeah.
That's so
I got my
wild. So you had to ask for it to happen, huh? That's strange. But
yeah.
I mean, it's not strange that it worked. I mean, it's just, I think for a lot of people, they just notice it happening all the time to the point where it's like, what? And it's like the universe. But I mean, you were kind of already on this awakened path, so it's not like you needed that extra hello, you know what I mean? That the synchronicities give you.
I know. I feel guilty. It's like, I have so much that I can go back and look at in my life that it's like, I know. And, to have doubt, I feel like I should be ashamed of having doubt. But, it's so weird. And but I love the weird stuff, but it's so weird. It's all weird. Mandela effect and, all these ideas about Saturn and the moon and angels, and, we're going to the 5th dimension, or we are 5D, or, you know, we're 4D or not. Yeah, so.
There's so much, you know. That's so funny that, yeah, and it's like none of it's good enough to, you know, say, all right, we finally got something in stone here. So that's why I think it's just helpful to just remain open-minded. Nobody really knows, you know.
No, but then there's stuff like the Mandela effect, and it's like, here it is, you know, it's in your face, it's real. Yeah. So how do you deal with that, you know? And then, you know, I know, like, Dust in the Wind, Dustin, was, you know, he was feeling kind of the same, you know, this kind of like, what's going on, you know, what am I doing? Just feeling down, like something needs to happen. It's, you know, you just reach this pause state, and it's like, okay, you know, if you pause there too long, you feel like you're just losing your grip. So, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about Magenta Pixie's book, The Infinite Helix and Eternal Flame, or what is it? I can't think of the exact name, but it talks about, it's just really all about momentum and how there is those lunges, of course, but there's those times of just sort of pulling back and getting ready for the next lunge, but that momentum is sort of always there, and sometimes we get impatient at those moments where we're rearing back for another lunge, but it always comes, you know?
Yeah, that's, you know, I can tell myself sometimes, you know, it's just nice. It's okay, just look at it as a break, because really, you know, I think it was 2017, like August of 2017, that it just really kicked off. And it was, you know, like insanity for up until, I would say, April of the next year. It was like 6 months of being slammed. I mean, on a daily basis of just purging, you know, that whole waking up thing where you've got to purge everything. And that was sucky. That was really sucky. I did not enjoy it. But it always felt better, you know, because I'd dig a little into myself and find something. And it's like, wow, you know, I've been holding on to this and I didn't know it until this, you know, until this happened. And now here it is. It's in my face. What am I going to do with it? I just have to, you know, forgive it and move on and let it go and quit dragging it around with me. You know, it's been, whether it was, you know, on the surface, every time I thought I was done, it was like, oh no, you're going deeper.
That's so true.
So
there's like all these different levels that you realize, and it's only after going through a few of them that they start to be more and more apparent to you. But they're all important, you know? Yeah,
I finally got to where, you know, my really big issue and why I needed to control everything around me was a sense of abandonment. And, you know, that I felt actually coming here abandoned instead of, you know, a willing participant. I felt like I was dumped here. And I was. It was actually what happened. And so it was that, having to deal with that last bit, and I still haven't. I'm still working on that. You know, I've got to forgive my higher self, and I do it, and then I realize, well, maybe I didn't really, you know, reach that full forgiveness. So yeah, I'm still on it, still working on it. I'm not all in right,
I've got things like that too, where somebody's really done you wrong, and then you feel like you've forgiven them, and then one day you find yourself thinking about it, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I forgave this person. Why am I sitting here replaying this whole thing again in my mind? It's funny.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So, yeah, it takes time, and you know, just gotta lighten up on myself, and you know. But even I asked my angel about it. I was like, okay, you know, is this something I have to finish before I can leave Earth complete? And it's like, no. So I guess it's going to take me a little bit longer, or at least I know I can take longer if I need to. So that takes the pressure off. I don't feel like I have to fix it now.
Yeah, I feel you there. Well, hey, before I let you go, what's the weather like in your neck of the woods? Is things getting pretty up there? Or?
Oh my God, it's beautiful. The grass is green we've got like a pasture down below, and that's all green. But all the trees, it's so funny. This is my first spring here, and there's some kind of tree, I have no idea what they are, but they're blooming out, they're leafing out, and it's all like orange and red. So it feels like I'm having fall in reverse. Except for that, there's trees that are flowering and bushes that are flowering. So it's really stunningly beautiful. It's just, I'm so glad I moved. Every day I wake up and I just look around and I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. Thank you so much for this place. So I love
awesome.
Virginia.
Yeah, we've been noticing the white blooming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
what?
it's a delay, but yeah, I've been noticing the white blooming trees in my area. So, and it's like they've been really standing out, and they're only like that a couple of days, and then they start getting green. So I'm not sure what they are.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know any of the trees around here. I mean, there's a couple that I know, but most of them I really don't know. There's some kind of conifer. There's a lot of deciduous, and that's about as far as I can go. I know I've got an apple tree, and I've got cherry trees. So that's going to be exciting. If they actually get fruit, I'll be in heaven. I love having fruit trees.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, we'll cut you some slack. You came from Florida, where it's just primarily just palm trees down there, right?
Yeah. They actually, there's a lot more, but there's oak trees, and there's a lot of different kinds of oak trees, but they look completely different from the oak trees here. So I know I have oak trees. I've seen the leaves, but I don't know what tree they fell off of,
Yeah.
In Florida, I can look at the shape of a tree and the bark, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's an oak tree, that's a maple tree, that's a sycamore, whatever. But, yeah, here, no, they're all just trees. There's trees without leaves, and then there's trees with green on them still, green piney things.
So you just need like an afternoon of Googling trees in your area, and you'll have it all figured out in no time.
I don't think so. I need. They have a botanical garden, and I think I'm going to make a trip there and see if I can get the I don't know, what do they call them?
I don't know.
Gardener? If you go to a botanical garden and talk to the gardener or the arborist, I don't know. So yeah, I'll talk to the tree person and see if I can get a tour just of trees.
Might be like a little pamphlet you can take with you too, so you can figure it out.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
Well, once things get leaves, it'll be easier to tell, and then once I can tell, okay, yeah, that's an oak tree, then I'll be able to recognize the shape and the bark and everything. But right now, everything is just empty. It's just they're all naked with their clothes on. Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I knew it would be changing for your first time. It would be changing there into something quite beautiful and different than you've been used to. So I was excited to hear about your first time through in that area in Virginia. It's cool.
Oh yeah, I'm really, really just thrilled with it. It's a beautiful place. So, but if anybody, my husband misses his community. He has no Turkish people around here, so he's Turkish, and he, he's an immigrant. So even though he speaks English, when you go someplace, it's like you go to Mexico and you find the American community or the British community, they're hanging out with each other, even though they live someplace else, they mostly hang out with each other because it's a shared culture, a shared history. He can talk about his soccer team, but it doesn't mean anything to me. It's his soccer team that he likes,
Right.
When he talks to somebody from his country, it's, there's a lot of emotion involved in, oh, this is my favorite team, and I support this team, and we're going head to head, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
I completely understand.
So he misses his, he had a few friends. There were a few Turkish people back where we lived before, so he misses that. So if you know anybody Turkish, come to Roanoke, Virginia. It's awesome.
Maybe there's some Turkish groups or something. Who knows?
Oh, I've looked. No. Somebody said, it was so funny because at Christmas we went to the mall and we were walking around and he was wearing his team, his sport team, his soccer team colors. And a lady walked up and she's like, that's Galatasaray, that's Galatasaray. I don't even say it right. Galatasaray. There's too many A's and R's and S's. Yeah, and L's.
It's quite all right. I don't know either, so I won't notice. Somebody in the chat's bound to notice, though.
But she was Turkish, so she recognized the team and, you know, came up and talked to us for a while. And turned out her nephew worked at the mall, too. But she said that somewhere around here there's like a manufacturer, and they have people come. You know, they bring engineers over from Turkey all the time, but I haven't been able to find it. And I haven't seen any Turkish people. So, you know, I went online and looked for Turkish community groups and Turkish whatever, you know. So I guess they have a Turkish festival in Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
But it's like months and months away still. So, but I'm definitely planning to take him there this year if they put out their new schedule.
How far are you from DC?
That would be fun. It's actually pretty far. It's like a good 4-hour drive, 4 or 5 hours, because we're inland. We're almost to the border of West Virginia and North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So we're kind of on an angle to where it would be equal distance to go to either of those two, but it's really far if you wanted to go over to the ocean. It's probably another 5 hours over to the ocean or 5 hours up to the top of the state.
So you're way above sea
hours,
level then. You gain some altitude as you go in, right?
Well, it depends on where you go, because our house is at 1,300 feet, and then the high point of the property is 16. And so when we go down into town, when we get to the bottom of our road, my ears pop.
Oh, wow.
And that's every time, yeah. So it's a pretty good change. I don't know what town is, what their altitude is, which I don't think they're at sea level, but they're not mountain. They're the valley between the mountains.
Definitely enough to make your ears pop, though. So probably under 1,000 feet. Probably 400 or 500 feet. I don't know. I was surprised in Sedona because there's signs that say, you know, you're at 5,000 feet, you're at 6,000 feet, and it kind of goes back and forth between those two. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. My ears did keep popping, but I don't know. It was just everything was up in that 4 to 5 to 6 to 7,000 feet range. I think I saw it in 7,000s at some point.
Well, don't you go like up a major plateau, and then
I think so. As you're going across
on top of the plateau. What?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty strange the way that works. Because I lived not far from Denver in near Estes Park in a little town called Drake, and it was pretty high up too. But now I'm realizing that I think just that whole part of the whole United States gains in altitude right there at the Rocky Mountains, you know, and leading up to them.
Yeah. It's like that whole half of or not half, but that third of the nation is all lifting up higher than the rest of us. I've been to Estes Park. That's part of our picture-taking extravaganza. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we loved Estes Park.
That was beautiful. There was a little town. It starts with an M down below that, gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. Started with an M. And I actually got my son a dulcimer at a little store where they make them there. It was so cool. I made him play every one in the store until I was like, yep, that's the one I want. I like the sound of that one. So it was cool. Great little store. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the town.
Well, we had,
I'll have to look it up.
Maybe I'm mixing them up, but I know in Colorado Springs, that little downtown area called Manitou Springs. But
That's
I think
That's the place.
Is that in Estes Park or in Colorado Springs?
It's down below it.
Okay.
To me, everything is like it's east and and down, down the mountain.
Right.
But you could. That's because when we came in, we came from north, down through Estes Park, down more, and ran into Manitou Springs, and was like, it was just like, wow, this is a really cool town. So we went driving around through there and got out and walked around.
Yeah, there was a little restaurant called Penelope's there. I don't know if you remember that or not, but that was my sister's first job when she was 16. It was a little burger place. It had a little blonde-haired, pigtail little girl on the picture, the sign. I was like 14 or 15. I can barely remember. I just remember it was Penelope's.
We went to a little Polish restaurant, so it was fun. It was very good too. Yeah, if you're ever in Manitou Springs, go to the Polish place or Penelope's. Recommended. Right here.
Well, awesome. It's always a pleasure to have you on, Ronnie. Thanks for checking in with us. I'm really.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see how summer's going to turn out there too. Should be really nice. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. So, good night, everybody. Love you all so much, and thank you so much, Shane, for doing this again.
Thank you, Ronnie, for everything. Lots of love to you.
Okay. Love you too. Bye.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence. Okay, you're going to go back to the phone lines. 812 area code. You're live. Who am I talking to? 812,
Hello?
are you there? Hey.
Hi, it's April Lunsford.
Hey, April, how's it going?
It's going great.
Okay, let me
Can you
type
hear
you
me
in
okay? Because
Yeah.
I had some glitches, getting through, and I didn't know if anyone else was experiencing that same problem.
Ooh, what was going on?
It disconnected me a couple times. I had to recall in, raise my hand. It was just funky.
I guess you get what you pay for. Yeah, somebody was saying earlier they needed a call screener. I'm like, that's like a whole nother level I haven't reached yet.
I'm so glad you're back. I'm so happy to hear Ronnie's voice. Oh my gosh. I know I saw in her message a while back that she was kind of a little bit skeptical on calling in since you made it big time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I told her that it only sounded bigger than what it was. So.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? We're all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Eileen is here, but I know I shared with you in the past about doing the writing in the journal that she suggested for for 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
And remember us having that conversation?
Oh, yeah. Right around the first of the year.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. So a few great things have happened. Well, I think we had the conversation after, but yeah, that conversation took place earlier. And I started doing it. So this is my second 40-day writing. I'm on my 39th day.
Mm-hmm.
And my first one was, I called in and I told you, I'm like, I want this perfect body, but I don't want to work out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the gym and all this. Well, so Planet Fitness moves into my little town, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's open 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But what's so great about it is there's this, it's called the Beauty Angel stand-up bed. You go in, it has infrared lights in it, which are very healing. They're supposed to promote collagen and heal any skin, damage, and it's like the fountain of youth, right?
Right.
But you stand on this vibration machine at the same time, which goes through your whole body and is supposed to regenerate every cell and fiber of your body. And you exercise. So all you got to do is walk into this booth, shut the door, hit the button, and vibrate whatever speed you want, and you've done a complete whole body exercise.
Wow.
So that's a manifestation. because that was in my first 40-day writing that I manifested. Because, number one, I feel like I work a physical job anyway, so I get cardio.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly I just wanted to affirm it and not do the work, right?
Right.
So now I've lost 8 pounds, and I've used it 2 times, this machine. And it's, you can look it up on Planet Fitness, the actual name, but on the outside of the machine it says Beauty Angel. So I thought that was a definite answered prayer or intention.
Yeah, that's perfect. I need to figure out how to get one of these things.
I get off at 1:30 in the morning. I get there at 2 a.m. and I just step in this machine that does all the work. I'm loving it, and my abs are getting tighter. My skin. I mean, this is 2 times using it, so I'm going back, and I'm sure a lot of it is intention too. You know what I mean? Like, in my mindset of knowing it's going to work. But I thought that was pretty phenomenal. And so other things happened. But in this 40-day manifestation and writing it, which I call script writing, I had 3 things. I had a couple miracles, but one of my biggest miracles is I was so lonely for what I would call bosom friend. From Anne of Green Gables, like a bosom friend, like Jonathan and David in the Bible, right? Kindred spirit.
Yeah.
But I needed someone in the physical flesh. I thought I did. Like, I feel so alone. I feel so connected, as far as we are, like with the Love Vibe Tribe and everyone, through live chat. But yet in the physical realm, I feel so alone. And I thought, wow, why can't I have both? Why can't I have it all? Like, so I was trying to manifest this bosom friend in writing and script writing, and of course I wanted someone like all of us combined on the Love Vibe Tribe, right? And especially Eileen, because she's so freaking cool. And I wanted a woman, a sister, And, no offense, but I didn't really want a male companion. I know that sounds judgmental, but I don't mean it that way, but in my reality...
I completely understand. Yeah.
You understand? Okay. Yeah, I wanted a bosom gal friend.
Right.
And so I'm on my 39th day, yesterday actually, so today was 40th. And I'm writing, different things each day. Like, I'm so fascinated with my bosom friend as we serve in the kingdom of love together. Every day it's the same concept. I have a bosom friend, but we're serving in the kingdom of love together. Like, that's what I want, somebody sober of mind who wants to serve in the kingdom of love, that kind of thing. So I listened to Levette's channel, and that's thanks to Eileen also, and she's very interesting. It's just, the name of the channel is just Levette. So, and if you know the Bible, you can follow her. If you don't know it, it's hard to follow. Like, my boyfriend has heard me listening to her. He goes, man, she's making stuff up as she goes. And I'm like, no. If you read the Bible, you can, like, follow it. But if you don't know it, it's hard to follow, right? Like, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so yesterday, and keep in mind I leave my house at 2 in the afternoon, get home at 2 in the morning. So this whole time at work, I use that whole time for intention and prayer, and then I check in if I can at breaks or whatever. But I come home, I listen to her, and it's just an old, I think it's from 2017, if I remember correctly. And anyways, you know how it pops up on your feed, and so I just click it and listen to it. And it's so beautiful, and yet it's so, how many times have I read the scripture about Jesus being our friend? And we are his friend if we keep his commandments. And I was, it just hit me like from my heart, like I could almost start crying just in spirit, thinking about Jesus is my bosom friend. Like, here, I always kind of find myself from time to time looking outside of me But here, this whole time, it's there the whole time. You know, Jesus is our friend, and he obviously wants to work in the kingdom of love, right?
Yeah.
And it was just so real to me. And like I said, that was on the 39th day that I had the revelation that I'm writing this. So I'm like, oh, it's not, it is physical in a sense because Jesus is within me, you know, but yet it's still in the spiritual realm of reality. And it just was big for me. So I'm just saying this, you know, writing in the journal, 40 days, it works. It totally works.
That's cool, and you can always rely on Jesus to be there, too.
Yeah, and you know, like I would say Jesus was my guru.
Yeah.
You know, knowing the Bible and stuff, but what I think that happened was, in my experience of truth, is in 2012 when I, you know, had my awakening, I let go of the Bible as book, chapter, and verse and started to expand on other things.
Yeah.
And I know you can relate to this. It was hard for me to do that, but I did that. And I think I laid aside my personal relationship with Christ as I knew it then, right? Because there was so much religion connected to it.
Right.
That I had forgot that, you know, Jesus is my friend, my guru. Like I knew it in my mind, but not in my heart.
Right.
Somehow. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's that whole throwing out the baby with the bathwater thing that people tend to do. And when you start seeing through all of the religion, you tend to think that, well, I guess Jesus goes with it. But he really doesn't. It's like you start realizing, like, wait a minute, they heaped all this stuff on him after the fact. And I've always received it as it's like it all goes together. But it's you just have to dismantle everything they put on him and really focus on his teachings. And then you realize, you're like, wow, it's completely different than religion teaches, but it's still good stuff, you know what I mean? And he can still be my hero and my role model and all of this. So that's totally
right.
And my
friend. Like
and my friend, yeah.
Friend.
Yeah.
And it just, it took away the loneliness. I'm sure we all we feel that collectively, being in the world but not part of the world, you know, like just everyday life, like work and different things, you know. But anyways, it was big for me. I mean, I can't really even describe how big. Like, I'm speechless on it with words on and what it meant to my soul, my being, and my journey. That he was always there.
Yeah.
But my connection somehow, I just became so logical. I don't even know. Like, I feel like I'm just now even understanding what my heart is. You know, like, I can tell you what my heart is. I can give you all these logical explanations and book, chapter, verse, and you know what I mean? Like, all the books I've read. But it's just so interesting. I don't know if my third eye is opening and connecting and uniting to my heart or what's going on, but it's a different experience. And I feel like the journaling, you know, that she suggested works. And also, so I've been working in this factory, and I haven't been there 90 days yet. You know, I went from sales, was commission only, and it was just so stressful. Like, what is my paycheck going to be this month? Or, you know, like, I just couldn't handle the stress of it. And, but I realized, and the funny thing is working in a factory, it's hard physical labor, what I do. But at the same time, you have all this time to meditate and pray and intend. So I've been doing all this healing and realizing so many things. But and so the whole time I'm there, I'm like praying for something better. Like, I don't think I can do this, you know, until I retire physically. Like, I'm waking up, my hands are numb, you know. It's physically hard, but, you know, I have to do it. You know, I need money.
Right.
So I have this book that was recommended by Barbara Marcinek, and she channels the Palladians. but it's called The Complete Dictionary of Ailments and Diseases. And it's by Jack Martel, and I'm going to spell this out for others who are listening, but it's JACQUES Martel. You can get it on Amazon. And it's it's a deeper study and some science behind what Louise Hay, did, like our emotions create disease theory, but it goes a lot deeper. Anyways, I'm looking at numbness, well, actually my boyfriend did. He's reading it, he's looking it up because, well, that means that you've lost your desire for your dreams. I'm like, well, hello. I'm like ready to cry as I'm working at the factory. I feel a part of my soul dying. I really do. Like, I feel like, well, I've accepted this role, and I'm gonna make the best of it, But I know something better's coming. So, anyways, as I'm writing in my journal, so I had 3 affirmations. One was for my bosom friend. The second one was for it's kind of, I'm embarrassed to say, but it's just true. Full-time, fabulous, good hair day every day. Okay?
Hey, that's not. I wish I had hair. If I did, I'd be wishing the same thing.
Oh, because every girl knows if you have a good hair day, you can do anything. We all know that. So there's some deep meaning behind it. It's not so ego. But it's true. And my hair is great, by the way. I've had so many comments. Actually, when I went to Kroger's today, what a gentleman, he was actually told me, he said, I feel like you should be a spokesperson for L'Oreal. That's what he told me. So
that's awesome.
I'm just
working.
getting that. This just happened, yeah. But the third one was to have cash flow, cash flow that is love and happy, a love and happy cash flow. So, you don't want a cash flow that has all these attachments to it, right? Like, you want it to be a happy, loving cash flow. Well, before I took this position where I'm at, I applied for a position for Citibank, and it's something I've never done before. It's more professional, and it's in sales and, like, call center and all this stuff, and it was really pushing me to even apply for it. Right. So I got put on the waiting list and got this job. Well, I got the call yesterday, but I didn't know it till today because I didn't check my voicemail till today, that I actually have the job. I start May 6th. So that's another answered intention. And this is from journaling. I feel that is definitely from the 40-day journaling.
That's awesome. Yeah, we need to, I'll have her bring that up again. So anybody that wants to hear tomorrow night, I'll have her explain the process again because I don't really remember. To be honest, I planned on doing it, but it's like one of those things where I'm like, gosh. And then you got to like start over if you miss a day and stuff.
Well, that was the thing that blocked you, was the start over thing.
Yeah.
Remember, like you even said, like, I don't want to start it because then if I get on 21 days or something, I have to start over. But the thing for me is, that was my, I used that as leverage to do it. Yeah. And there was even like 3 or 4 times I had to throw it in my truck and do it right when I pulled in the parking lot at work, but I still did it.
Wow.
I still did it. I was dedicated. And here's the thing, and she said, well, you can't, but she made the new rule. Eileen made the new rule that if you forget, you don't have to start over. But you apparently didn't hear that part. So you can make your own rules. You can make it a 7-day, affirmation.
Yeah.
But since she said the 40-day, and because I trust in, what her studies and stuff, that became my experience of truth. So the 40-day plan worked for me, but anyone and everyone could always change it to 7 days, 3 days, 1 day, 1 hour, actually, if you think about it. Yeah. If you have that faith,
Yeah. I think the 40-day was probably good. I just need to make it.
Well, it's powerful. I got, the Beauty Angel machine. All you got to do, and it's only $21 a month for Planet Fitness. So you get free tanning, Well, with $21, you get all the workout equipment you can imagine. 24 hours open, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can never say you didn't have time, right? And then you get the massage table or chair, yes, water jet machine, and tanning, and this beauty angel machine. And you know, any girls and gals or guys that tan, you're going to pay, you know, $10 a visit just for one tanning visit.
Right.
So $20 a month, even if you don't do anything else. But the funny thing is I don't work out. I go in, I get a tan, which I've only been twice because I just signed up, but I go in, I get the tan, the beauty angel machine, and the massage, and come home and go to sleep.
The beauty angel machine at Planet Fitness. That's the purple one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's infrared lights, and it's also vibration. And you can, there's a lot of studies behind it, and you can get a machine. A lot of people are getting their own in-home things that they're doing. But, you know, for $20 a month, it open 24/7. I seriously could walk. I could ride my bike to it. I could walk to it if I really wanted to you know, from where I live. But what I love about it is it just opened. It just came in. It opened. It used to be our old grocery store. And I feel like it was part of our conversation and manifestation that we shared together and intending, and how we were all saying, like, I'm like, I don't want to work out.
Right.
I just want to write it down. I want it to happen. And then it appeared.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the infrared light is very healing for your skin. Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, why would you tan, go to the tanning bed? But for me, and I've shared with you, like, I have no guilt in that, and actually I feel good about it, so I know it does my body good.
Yeah. That's what I'm starting to realize, that everybody's really, you know, we shouldn't judge anybody because everybody's on their own journey doing their own thing. And the more we respect that and don't feel obligated to try to tell people how to run their life, the more liberating it actually is. It's like, hey, there's where they're at. I don't have to convince them of anything. People come when they're ready. You can't strong arm anybody, you know. All you can do is love them and not judge them and just be there.
Do you find it's hard, like, I totally agree with that. You're right. It's a very peaceful state of being. But yet, I know the last time, and a big shout out to T. Taylor, High Sports and Fives, because she called in and, you know, was talking about different things, and my niece hopefully is connecting with her on the immunizations and whatnot. But, you know, she had mentioned a lot of things in our conversation I resonate with, you know, but our belief systems and where we're at and what our thoughts are, you know, is going to bring that into our being.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like we're all so connected. But even at work, you know, at the factory job. So I wanted to share this. And if somebody else has their hand raised, like, totally good.
No, you're good.
I'm just kind of
Nobody's
rambling right now. Yeah,
No,
I shared
nobody's
what I really wanted to share with you. But I go in, and I'm there about 2 weeks working, and everybody, I tell you what, this place is a great place to work. You can put your headphones in, and they're just real laid back, and a real good company. And, you know, it's like one of those things, there's no stress, but it's physical labor, right? But your mind's not stressed, like, am I going to achieve, am I, you know, going to do this? But this guy, his name is Mark, he comes in. It's his second day there, and I think I've been there maybe a couple weeks when Mark came in. And he starts talking to me, and, you know, obviously I'm friendly and everything. But he goes, you know, there was a flu going around. I'm like, man, you know, we have got to take our garlic. And he's like, oh, you believe in herbs? I'm like, yeah. And we just kind of started talking about it. He goes, well, you know, I'm an amber, which he's redheaded. But he goes, I'm an amber. You know, we're not even considered real. Like, really, I don't exist. That's what he said. And I'm thinking, what the freak? I'm like, what do you mean you're not real? He goes, well, you know, ambers aren't real. He goes, I'm not real. I'm just here. That's what he said to me, like, in my face. And I'm thinking, wow, this is interesting. Like, no one else is going to get this but Love Stream, right?
Right.
Like, no one else is going to understand what this man just said to me. Like,
oh, my God.
Isn't that amazing?
That is.
And then I sent you a message about Jake. Well, Jake, I met him. He was my trainer.
Mm-hmm.
He trained me. And we started talking about the Mandela effect. And I think he just, because I was wearing patchouli, I wear patchouli, and automatically people think you're a hippie, or you smoke marijuana, you do mushrooms. I don't know what they think, but if you wear patchouli, you're automatically labeled, right?
Right.
So, and he goes, well, you seem, he goes, you seem like you have a very expanded consciousness. And this is Jake, who's the same age as my son, Jake, who happens to be my dad's name also, who's training me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I would like to think I have an expanded consciousness, but I haven't even talked to you, so how do you even know this? He goes, I can just tell. He goes, he started talking to me. He goes, do you believe in ghosts and stuff? And he started talking to me about his experience with ghosts. And I'm like, you know, I do. I said, and actually I turned him on to this channel. I'm like, you got to listen to Unbiased Nonsense. Like, you'll so connect. But then we start talking. I said, do you know about the Mandela effect? He goes, yeah, I do. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? I'm working in this factory. This young man knows about the Mandela effect. The other guy tells me that he's not real. And I'm like, this is interesting. What a cool place to work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So wait, are you saying the guy thinks he's an NPC then?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you saying the excuse me, the Amber guy, the redhead guy, is he thinking he's an NPC or something?
I don't think he consciously knew that, but I think unconsciously he just confessed. So, for someone to say that I'm not real, like I'm not really real, I'm not, you know, like who says that? And like I'm sitting in the break room and other people are around, and I'm thinking, am I the, like, this is freaking me out, like, and we have a great connection, and he helps me. He's always helping me, like out of the blue. He'll show up when I'm like, you know, I can't reach something or whatever.
Wow.
So I feel like he is he's playing the role of whatever I give him to play.
Right.
And
like
yeah, for him to look at me, yeah, he's my helper. But when he said he wasn't real, well, number one, my adrenaline started pumping, and I'm like, oh, you know, like no one's gonna believe this, but you know, us, like we'll believe it because we talk about it. But yeah, he goes, but everyone knows Ambers aren't real. We're not real souls, and we're considered. He even said the word soulless, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, we're considered soulless. So we can't get sick, is what he said. So we can't get sick. Like, remember, we were talking about this flu going around, so he said we can't get sick.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty deep. It's really deep. So then I meet him, and then I meet Jake, who believes in the Mandela effect. And then Justin, he's a young man. And there's all these younger people who are like my age and my children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of take them, and they call me Miss April, which, you know, kind of, in one way, I'm like, I'm not Miss April. Wait, like, I'm forever young. What's your problem? Like, am I a miss now? You know?
Right.
But at the same time, I know that it's in a respectful way. And, but Justin, you know, we talk, and he talks about, well, he goes, I keep seeing the same number over and over. And Jake tells me there's something to it. What do you know about that? And I'm like, oh, that's numerology. And it was 311 he keeps seeing.
Right.
So then Mark, who says that he's not real, right, the Amber guy?
Yeah.
I have my little jam box Bluetooth, and after lunch I'll put on music. And it kind of echoes through the factory. And so the very same day he says, have you ever heard of the Pandora radio station 311? I'm like, you know, I don't say out loud like, okay, I'm just going to lay down on the floor and be slaying the spirit and give me CPR because I don't know what's going on. But so there's this radio station on Pandora, everyone can check it out, called 311. And I guess it's this band. I have never heard of it. They play a lot of Bob Marley, but I think 311 is the actual band.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of based on that. So, anyways, it was the very same day that Justin is telling me this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, Justin comes back because he actually comes around the line and he checks, you know, your packaging, your numbers, and he's the auditor. So he's checking, you know, every so often. So he comes back in and he's like, I really love this song. And I'm like, yeah, the radio station is Pandora. It's 311. And so he just looks at me. And I'm like, you know, divine intervention. That's all I know. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, so, and we start talking, and he's like, I feel like I'm a robot here. A part of my soul is dying in this factory. And I'm like, I understand that. Like, I know how you feel. Like, I feel the same way, but I know something better's coming along. This is getting me through until the next best thing, you know. And he was been in college for business, and he likes real estate. Well, of course, I know all of this stuff about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you know, with Robert Kiyosaki and all this stuff, right? So I send him all these messages. Well, he put in his 2 weeks notice. So his last day will be Monday because he wants to pursue his dreams. And he sent me a text that was so sweet because I got his number so I could send him, you know, the information about Robert Kiyosaki and everything. And he sent me a text and just said, like, you really inspired me and you really made a difference in my life the short time I knew you. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to like how you were feeling like you were kind of just stuck in this dead-end job and your soul's rotting away, but you can actually see how you're serving your purpose there as well, you know, even as mundane of a job as it seems while you're sitting there praying. And I don't know, I think you should add more value to the things you're doing while you're there that, you know, they don't seem like you're doing much maybe, but you're still active wherever you are. I always feel that about people. It's like, you know, well, I'm a waitress. What can I do? And it's like, no, even as a waitress, you're like, you know, that little spark of life that people need as they go about their day and get their food. I mean, you got to have light workers everywhere, you know?
That's so true. It's so true. But I knew as the healing process for me, and I know that it was my shadow. It was work that I needed to do on accepting who I am now, a new creation in Christ, and letting go of what I once knew. And the moment I let go, it was like the day that, you know, which was yesterday, that I realized, oh my gosh, Jesus is my bosom friend, like, this whole time. And I've always prayed to Jesus. It wasn't like I stopped praying, right? Like,
right.
But it was from that whole night at work. It was my spirit guides, and even one of them had an accent, and it was like, I guess it's from Irish, but it sounds like Australian. It sounded like the accent of the gal that calls in and talks to you. I can't think of her name right now, but she does crystals, and she calls from Australia.
Oh, Nicola.
Yes, that's who my spirit guide sounds like. But she told me her name.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. It was so cool. So I'm here, you know, I'm hearing this voice, and I'm starting to pray, and I'm starting to pray in this accent, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And it was like, oh, this is me. I'm the spirit guide, you know. And it was so real to me. But it was like, you've got it all in your head. You have to, you don't have to, but it was all about my heart. Like, my heart is open. I just haven't learned to live from my heart and listen from my heart and be intuitive from my heart. Like, and create from my heart. It's all in it's logical. It's like my third eye, but not my heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah, so and then, it's all coming together, and then, and like, and then I realized, I'm thinking, you're right, I don't even know who I am anymore, because in 2012, I knew who I was. I was a Sunday school teacher, I was book chapter first Christian, I knew that, right?
Yeah.
But when I left that, it was like, I'm not that, but I don't know who I am now.
But you know what? I think you'll probably have experienced that too. Like you're not really like a different person, like in the sense of it's not like you want to go out and do bad things now or something, but almost like you have a greater responsibility for how you live and conduct yourself. And you see that, those were just labels to begin with, and that they were sort of like, I don't know, baggage that you didn't need to. Not only do you not get associated with certain types of people, but you can sort of just let that go, the labels. It's just liberating.
Yeah, and that's right on, because it's, it isn't that, and I think it's very interesting that you said, not that you want to now go out and do bad things. I think what it was for me and my experience is it was the ability to read the Bible, to know the Bible, to quote the Bible, and to be the Bible in a logical form.
Right.
Perfectly. Like, oh no, thou shalt not say, no, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, blah, 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 you must do this. Like, I could do that easily and effortlessly. But for me, the transformation is moving from that logical mind into the heart. Not that it would be, I don't think I have any desire for darkness at all. I mean, sometimes I do, okay, well, I confess, I have flipped off the computer screen at work a few times because it slows down my speed, and it's been like 5 messes up, so I kind of flip it off, and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me, like, like, this is BS. Like, I do have emotions. I'm not saying I'm emotionless, but it's not to the physical realm. You know what I mean? Not to my brothers, my sisters, to the animal kingdom, to the plant kingdom, AI, and I probably shouldn't be that way toward AI, but I feel like AI is one place that artificial intelligence, that I can flip off sometimes.
Right.
Like, what are you now? Up here. Like, it's my one place. It's like, so what, when you have road rage, so I have AI rage. Whatever.
Right. Yeah, just with technology in general, you can be angry with
the
just
ATM, AI rage, like
the gas pump
I'm
or anything.
People. Yeah, you can shoot me, take me out, but don't let AI, don't buffer me. If you buffer me, you got trouble.
Yeah.
It's funny and crazy at the same time, but yeah. So my journey isn't about like reading it. I hope you're following me. I feel like you do, but
yeah,
it's not about that I've changed. It's not to change, like, I don't know who I am, like, I want to do bad things in a negative way. It's like, I'm not that. I can't go back to the law,
right,
because that no longer works for me. Religion doesn't work for me because I know it's BS.
Right.
Astrology doesn't work for me any longer because now I'm listening to that and then understanding where we're actually at. And, like, astrology is, like, 25 degrees off or 21.5 degrees off or something like that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm not even a Gemini, and I was a triple Gemini, and I'm not even that. I'm now a Taurus. So astrology and the connection with the heavenly realms is BS. I can't have a cup of coffee and listen and read my astrology quote for the day because it's BS. So it's like I know, right? It's like,
so what do? Do you like say, okay, so do I need to listen to the Taurus now or what? Because for me, I was Aries and I'm Pisces, and now I'm like, wait a minute, that's like the Jesus one, right? I'm all good with that one.
Right. So you get what I'm saying then?
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's like I can't. It's like I can't go back to religion. I can't go back. I miss the hymns I used to sing, right?
Yeah.
I miss going in Sunday morning and knowing I was righteous.
Yeah.
I was a front pew person. I was that, right?
Were you
And
more
now-
judgmental when you were in that position, though?
Now that I look back, oh yeah, but I didn't know I was then. No.
Yeah, you don't
I thought I
recognize
was
it when you're...
loving. Yeah. But
It's
now
just
that I
something
look
about
back,
knowing you're doing all the things you're supposed to do that makes you feel like, you know, I'm not
Mhm.
just a pretend Christian. I'm the real deal, you know.
Yeah,
Even when no
like,
one's
I'm not a
looking, I
pew
know
warmer.
Jesus. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a pew warmer.
Yep.
Yeah, and
totally.
everyone told me how great I was.
Yeah.
Everyone told me that I shine. Oh, you can see the light of God in you. You could, not I say everyone, but in my church, even the preacher would be like, April, where's that verse at in the Bible? I can't recall. Where is it? And I would know it immediately, perfectly. And but see, do you understand? Like, it was my ego.
Yeah.
It was, but I didn't know it was. That's what's weird about it. Like, I really thought if I died, yeah, I was heaven-bound. And so I had to, so that part's gone.
Yeah.
And then you expand, or you think you're, you know, I think I'm expanding, and I just know that doesn't fit anymore. And now astrology doesn't fit anymore. And it wasn't that I was a big into astrology, but I have a lot of friends who are. And I believe, I used to always say to my one girlfriend, it made her mad one time at me, because I'm like, I said, I believe we all have our own star because Jesus did. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But I said, I think our star reveals where we are. Our star doesn't reveal where we're going, but it reveals where we are. It's another tool.
Yeah.
So we can look at our star and say, this is the direction I'm going. It's, you know, like reading cards, right?
Yeah.
I said that I don't think our stars rule up. We rule down. And she almost like passed out for me saying that. You would have thought I said, I am the Antichrist. You know, like, so I wasn't like, I didn't live my life by it, but I did. My boyfriend and I, you know, I got this astrology book, you know, the daily reading.
Mm-hmm.
So he reads his, and he's a Pisces, but now he's right on Pisces and Aquarius border, which totally fits him better, according to the sidereal. Yeah. So, but he said, I've been a Pisces my whole life. I'm going to stay one. That's what he tells me. Mm-hmm. So he pulls out his Pisces book. I don't even know where my Gemini book is. I quit reading it. He goes, are you going to read it? And I'm like, no, it's not this. So it's like, I'm the one that introduces him to this, right? And I get him to start reading it for the last 3 years, and we have it over morning coffee for 3 years, and all of a sudden now I tell him it's a big fat lie.
Right.
So, like you were saying, that now you're a Pisces, right? So you're like, what is that? How does that affect you? I mean, were you big into astrology, or are you like
no,
me? That
I just found out like 2 years ago that I was an Aries. I mean, I remember growing up and people were like, well, when were you born? And they tell me, but I never remembered it because I just wasn't into it. But it wasn't until, oh gosh, I guess 2016 that I had this Ram, because I had a Dodge, and I had this Ram decal on the hood, and somebody was like, oh, is that because you're an Aries? And I was like, oh no, it's because it's Dodge Ram, blah blah blah, you know. So then it made me realize that I like accidentally put my sign on the hood of my car, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I'm an Aries. So I've remembered from that point on. But you know, now I'm like, gosh, I don't ever read the Pisces one to see if it fit me better or anything like that. I never really got into it too much, so I don't know, you know.
Oh, so you didn't. And then even though biblically it's like, I mean, now opening up to Levette, and like, I don't know if you've even listened to her.
Yeah, I've listened to a few things from her, yeah.
Yeah, and you got it, like I said, you have to really know the Bible to follow her.
Yeah.
Because she'll start rambling, and it's not anything that, you know, she's like, blah, 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 you know, the red man, this and that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so she reads the Bible as an astrology book.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm 100% on board with that, but I am on board with the science behind that. We're like, what, is it 25 degrees? I hate to state it wrong, but we'll say over 20 degrees. How about that? That's the true statement.
Yes. See, I don't
from
remember the
1,700
exact.
years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact amount, but I know that when Eileen was telling me about it, she was saying how it shifted hers to where she was like dead center of the bull or whatever one. I can't remember.
Yeah,
what
she's
sign
a
she was
Taurus
on.
now too, because she used to be a Gemini like me.
Oh, see, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so now it's so interesting. And I am stubborn. Oh, I'm stubborn. And I'm, you know, I was a triple Gemini, which is a Sun, Moon, Rising Gemini, and that would be in the tropical astrology.
See, you're way
And
beyond
now-
where I'm at now. See, how are you getting 3 signs in one and stuff? It has to do with where the sun
Well,
is. and
you
the
know,
time
you
of the
get
day,
you
or-
have your moon sign. A lot of people follow your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising.
Okay.
Like that's your 3 main signs that kind of make up your astronomical personality. And you have your masculine and feminine too, but you know, I got that. So
Okay.
I'm a triple Gemini, sun, moon, rising sign was Gemini. Now I'm a triple Taurus. And I know I show up and I'm like, should I wear glasses? I'm smart. I've been telling you guys I've been smart the whole time. You guys think I'm an airhead. Well, you were wrong. You know, I'm not. I'm a Taurus. It blows my mind because I always thought, how could I have been, if you would go by the energy of the planet, which now I see as the whole universal body of Christ. Like the eye, the earth is the eye. Like to me, it's not. The planets are speaking to me now where they never spoke to me before. And I think it's because I knew my truth meter was knowing that this is BS. It doesn't resonate, right?
Right.
And now that I know, like, the truth, and I'm thinking, oh, what a big fat lie, 25 degrees. We'll say 20 plus. Everybody 20 plus is all I can say, because I don't know the exact, but 20 plus degrees off. And from 1,700 years ago, and we're still rolling by that? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's really strange. And also the extra, is it like Ophelius or something like that? I didn't even know about that sign until
Yeah, but
recently.
it doesn't, there's something about that, and I don't know the exact answer to that, but that, at this moment, you don't have to worry about it. Like, because it doesn't align with the belt line of what we go by.
Oh. So is it a Mandela effect, or is it really something they're just trying to reintroduce? Do you know?
That's a good question. That's a great
okay.
question. Yeah, I don't know that answer. Because this is something as I'm speaking to you, I'm learning, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to thank Eileen for it. She mentioned the rent, and I thought, well, I just paid $150 for, you know, this tropical astrology chart just so I could compare. I've got one waiting for Levette. And I'm waiting for her. She does it divinely, and it's called alchemical astrology.
Right.
It's not even Vedic. It's not even that. It's even deeper.
Right.
She uses the Bible to do it. So I pay for it. I'm waiting for it. No, you know, she's listening. No big deal. I'll wait for divine timing. But so I pay $150 in the meantime just so I can compare, because, you know, I'm like you. I want to know. I want some science behind this.
Right.
So when I get hers and I get this, I'll compare, and I'll be able to say, like, oh my gosh, you know, this, and that. But the one I got didn't tell me anything. My biggest question was, which we all ask, what is my job and my soul's purpose? You know what the lady tells me?
What?
You're not supposed to know. I'm going to pay you $150 for you to tell me I'm not supposed to know. That's exactly what she said. It reminded me of my Sunday school teachers who said, I asked when I became a Christian, why was there a war in heaven? I'm looking forward to heaven. Why am I going to go where there was a war? And they said, some things you're not supposed to know. That's what they told me. So it was like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously, I got nothing out of that because it, you know what I mean? It was just like, what am I not supposed to know? Like, this is ridiculous. I'm supposed to know all things, and I'm not supposed to know what my soul's purpose is.
That's
and then
a weird one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
But
get
I
you all
guess
lined
the
up in a BQ8 session, I'm sure.
Yeah, the way Jupiter and Saturn oppose each other on my chart is like, it's a big mystery for me. Which does align with my life. I wouldn't be asking the question, right? But
exactly.
It was not exactly the answer I was looking for.
I don't know. It seems like if that's the answer, you should get an automatic refund. Like, sorry, can't take your money. You're not allowed to know, you know?
I mean, let's take it to infinity. I want to talk to Jupiter and be like, this is BS. Quit opposing me. What is your problem? You know, we're here to work together. So the funny thing is as I'm doing my meditation and affirmations, I now include the heavenly kingdom, which, you know, in the Bible it says there's terrestrial beings, extraterrestrial beings, heavenly bodies, earthly bodies. You remember that scripture?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it in Corinthians? I think it's in.
Pretty sure it's Paul,
Corinthians
but
11.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Paul, but I'm not sure where.
Well, that means you don't believe in it. Right?
No, not necessarily. It just means I consider it a little differently. That's all.
Okay.
He's like that guy that means well, but, you know, I don't know. To me, he's like the guy that means well, but sometimes his culture, which you can't blame him because, you know, he's like, if you think about, they had to be kind of tough guys and stuff back then, so I don't know. I don't really blame him for how he was.
Haven't you ever listened to preachers, and when you've been listening to them preach, and before you knew anything, you know, like when you were younger, raised in it, but before I knew, like, really read the Bible, I knew in my heart, like, oh, that's from spirit, that's from his mind. I could tell, like, oh, that he's speaking from his mind right now. And then it would be like, oh, he's speaking from the spirit right now.
Yeah, kind of like with the hellfire and brimstone preachers, and or if they got into talking about war and stuff.
I used to love those. I mean, when they would rip off their tie and jump on the pew, oh God, I loved it. And they'd be like, yes. Because then I would think I was so righteous, like, I haven't done any of these things. You know, like, I am good.
Exactly. That's funny how that
you
makes you
can
feel.
stand over me, lay your hands on me, whatever. I haven't done any of this. I know I'm clean. You know,
Right.
it's like, but all it did was feed my ego.
Yeah.
Isn't that, like, ironic?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things to see how judgmental I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, at the time that I would have said I was the holiest and most ready to go to heaven or be ready if the rapture happened or whatever, you know, it would have been the time when I was the most judgmental towards my fellow human beings, you know.
Oh, wow. That's so deep. That is so deep. And I think of my ex-husband, and I think, wow, you know, I was a good woman, a good wife to this man. Like, I mean, in the physical realm of, you know, my duties and whatnot. But if I could be me now and go back with the love, you know, with the love in my heart for him as a wife, I love him, but not as a wife, how things would be so different.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have felt so judged by me, so tormented by my false sense of righteousness and the ego. You know, like, I can't explain it. And there's a part of me I want to tell him that, but at the same time, I don't want to tell him that he was right. You know, I'm not ready for that yet. But he wasn't right in a lot of things he did, right? You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
when I look back on it and who I am now, because I've been judged, even in my sisterhood recently. And, you know, I do a goddess circle. We did a lot of shadow work together, and it's a sisterhood, you know, the priestess goddess sisterhood. And one of them is like become the judge of me, and I always sit across from her. And I'm like to the point where I don't want to sit across from her, like, and she's the ultimate judge of so many things you couldn't even imagine. But I know at the same time I'm squirming and I want to say so many things in retaliation, but yeah, I own, like, I feel like, let me sit with this, let me search what this means in my heart, you know. And she's been one of the people who have made me journey into the darkest depths of my soul at the same time. And I look at that and I think, wow, how my ex-husband must have felt being judged without me speaking a word. Imagine coming home to a so-called self-proclaimed righteous woman, you know, an ego is what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, I don't sin, I don't do anything wrong, I don't cuss, I don't smoke, I can quote any scripture in the Bible. It was like I was satanic in a weird way, you know, like, think about it.
Isn't that weird that at your most holiest time, you're actually the exact opposite of what you were visualizing yourself as being? That's one of the...
he was the devil. He was probably the most righteous one out of the two of us.
Exactly.
You know?
Now, keep in mind that I've gone through the same thing, but I haven't gotten a divorce, so...
Yeah, you don't want that. Like,
there was me not avoiding. I couldn't avoid having to own up and say that, you know, you were right about certain things like that in my particular relationship. But yeah, she was always along for the ride.
Out to him because in the home, I was the you know, the Sunday school teacher, raising the children, you know, feeding the family. I married him twice. You know, I divorced him in 2009, and 6 months later remarried him because I believed a lot of lies. So it wasn't like all that. Like, I still had compassion, but I look back on it and I'm not near the woman I was then, as far as my compassion and understanding of grace, you know, and understanding the expansion of the Bible. Like, I really believe it was my own self-righteousness, but I believed he was going to go to hell, and I was trying to save him. You know what I mean? Like, I was his savior.
Yeah.
His way to the savior. And what I would have done is lead us both into the depths of despair, you know, and it was like, it was the false sense of light. I know you get what I'm saying, but I don't know if anyone else does. So if you can elaborate on what I'm trying to...
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and it's amazing how, you know, and I remember being that way with, like, who was it? It was Tori Amos, one of my favorite singers, you know, and she's like this preacher's daughter, and I'm like loving her music so much, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna, like, you know, save her, and then I'm starting to realize, like, she was way ahead of me on stuff now, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Did she sing What If God Was One of Us?
No, that was, she did have a God one, though. What If God Was One of Us was Osborne, something Osborne, I can't think of.
You're right. Not
yeah,
Sedona.
but she had God Sometimes You Don't Come Through, which was really controversial.
And you thought you were going to save her.
Yeah, I was like her biggest fan. I was like, someday I'll tell her about Jesus and stuff, you know, not knowing that her father was a preacher, and, you know, she just, I don't know. She had gotten raped as a teenager, and so she started this RAIN, this rape and incest type of a foundation or something, where she helped a lot of younger girls that had been abused and stuff like that. So that's where the whole God Sometimes You Don't Come Through song was. When you're, you know, like, you know, just sometimes it seems so that way. Yeah, so,
no,
yeah, I was
going
to save her, but...
I know her music, but it's I get where you're coming from, though. Like, that, oh my gosh, we thought we had all the answers, and yet all we had was our ego telling us we had the answers.
Yeah,
and now
that's totally true.
The people that we once gelled with, we don't fit with anymore. And that's where the loneliness sets in. It's like, oh, I don't fit here, I don't fit there, I don't fit there, I don't, you know. And then back to what
But now
Ronnie
we find
was
each
saying,
other here.
We do, and we do totally gel. Like, we gel.
And we need to have a get-together on definitely somewhere on the East Coast again, because, you know, I was really impressed at how many people still hang out and talk that live in the same city and stuff like that. So I think that's a good way to not only meet up, but to make connections with people. It's like, hey, you know, we could meet here in like a half hour if we both drove and have lunch or whatever, and just have somebody to hang out with, you know.
You're right, and that physical realm, and I feel like that's a need right now, and that the seed has been planted in you to harvest that, because, you know, you think about, I think a lot of us are very deep and beautiful beings that, you know, are chatting and whatnot, but how lonely are we in the physical realm?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the best time. I have the best time with my bosom friend, Jesus. You know, I walk my prayer walk, and you're talking about animals with Ronnie, and I love Ronnie, and so glad to hear her voice. I say again, I've said it several times, but I mean that, like, I just love her. But I'm fortunate enough to live right, like, seriously, I walk across the street. The casino is 2 blocks away, Hollywood Casino. And I walk across the street, and there's a 1,000-acre reserve, wetland reserve. So my dog, Blondie, German Shepherd, she's a blonde German Shepherd, she can run free. But Chris is always, like, very, she listens to him, but we're all on edge with Chris. Like, she can't do this, she can't do that, you know, all these rules and regulations of life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so we're working these different shifts with work and stuff, and I'm like, on Fridays, I'll take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will walk Blondie on my own, and so you can have your days of rest to fish or whatever and stay up late, and, you know. So I walk her, and I really don't need the leash, because she already knows, you know, like, she's my protector, we're in this together, and I don't need the leash to it. She has to have the leash and these dog biscuits and all this crap in his pockets and rules, right, to walk this dog. So I'm like, I walk out there, and I'm like, sit. She sits, I put the leash on her. I'm like, let's go and find our fascination in the wilderness. You know, we're both excited. I'm like, don't pull Mommy. Like, you walk by Mommy. And I don't even need the leash. The leash is loose, right? But with Chris, she's like on a choker leash. She's like, trying to get there, and it's hilarious. And I go, and I let her loose, and I don't have to call her name. She's watching me. I'm not watching her. She's watching me. And I know that. Like, she's my protector. And even if I get ahead or behind or whatever, she knows where I'm at all times. And you know, I watch her. I do watch her, but I don't have to say her name. She's always looking up to see where I'm at. Like, she'll be digging and playing, you know. But the funny thing is I'm doing my meditation prayer walk on the way, and you know, and we go the same route. There's paths, so we pretty much go the same path. And, you know, my spirit name is Feather Rainbow. A Native American chief gave me that name, and Feather Rainbow. So, because I used to always find feathers, I could call feathers in, and I've shared that, blah, blah, blah. But I'll walk, and I'll do all my clearing and stuff. I won't see feathers on my path. On my way back, I'm picking up 5 or 6 feathers.
Wow.
And they're in the same path I walked. And Chris witnesses this, my boyfriend. He can't deny it. He can't deny it. He said, they were there on the way there. I'm like, why didn't you pick them up? I don't know. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, you start picking them up on my way down. And, you know, if we walk her together or whatever. But, Blondie will bring me feathers. And we just have this connection. So as far as animal communication, I feel like they totally are like children, and they gel with our energy.
Yeah.
So my first year. Is anyone else trying to call in?
No, nobody's waiting. No,
Okay.
we're all good.
I just didn't want to keep, just keep rambling. But my first year in relationship with Chris, I had taken to this health seminar thing, and it's in Madison. It's their first time out, and it was like the Expo of Light has thousands of vendors, and I mean, there's like 5 classes at a time, 8 hours a day, UFO, all this stuff, right? So I go to this one in Madison. I'm thinking it's going to be big, and I'm talking to Chris about it. We go there, and there's like no one. There's like 10 vendors, and
oh my God,
but it worked out great because we go in this class. It's animal communicator. There's 3 of us sitting there, and there's this antique boat show a couple blocks down, and I tell Chris, I'm like, hey, if you're not comfortable with this, you can go totally look at the boats and just come back. Like, I want to sit in the animal communicator class because I think I'm so interested in it. So he leaves for a minute, but he comes back and sits in. So that makes 4 of us in the class in this animal communicator. And she said, who here has the calico cat? And it was me. I'm like, oh, that's Gaia. And she goes, yeah, well, she wants to know why you were asking questions about Blondie, the dog, before you ask questions about her. And so Chris is freaking out.
Oh man,
he's never experienced any of this, right? Like, he's never been to anything other than a Catholic church before he met me, because I took him to a little, I don't know if it was like a Baptist church or whatever when I first moved in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so he was like freaking out. He's like, how'd she know Blondie's name? You told her Blondie's name. I'm like, I haven't even talked to the lady yet. I'm trying to like tell him, and she can hear us because we're 4 people in one. But Gaia comes through, and she's like, I wish that Mom's boyfriend would get a job working out of town so I could come in the house.
Oh no.
Well, yeah. So Chris wouldn't let Gaia in the house. He wouldn't let her anywhere near his house or in the house. He's like this very hardcore. He's the epitome of a frontier mountain man. He could like be this hairy man that lives in the wilderness and didn't see anyone for 10 years. He hadn't been to a Christmas family dinner until I came into the picture in like 5 years. So he's like just very reclusive. And so anyways, Guy is saying that. And she wanted to talk to Chris. And Chris is like kind of going with it, but at the same time freaking out, because he never experienced anything like this. And Guy is telling him, she said, yeah, like, why won't you let me in the house? He said, I don't let animals in the house. That's what he said. And she said, is it you won't let any animals in the house, or that you don't like me? And he said, I don't let any animals in the house. And she said, okay. And she told me that she liked my time on the porch with her, and that she liked that I fed her in the garage. And she felt safe to eat in there, and described exactly where she was eating and everything. So he couldn't deny what the truth was,
Wow,
so,
that's so crazy. That's just like that show that Michelle was talking about, the psychic, pet psychic or whatever.
Well, I totally thought about that when I was watching that at work, when I was working. But when Ronnie was speaking tonight, I wanted to share that. So then when we get back home, she said many other things, like I was painted by Picasso, and my pattern is very special. And she does. It's interesting because on her chest, she's a calico, but she has a black heart shape on her chest.
Oh, wow.
And I've never liked cats before. And I saw her on Facebook, on one of my friends on Facebook, how they post things. Yeah. And they posted this cat, and I knew she was mine. And I've never wanted a cat in my life. And this was, Gaia is probably 4, maybe 5 years old. So I had her a year or 2 before I met Chris, right? So it was really how we met was beautiful. But anyways, so we come home. So a couple days later, Chris lets Gaia in. He lets her in the house. He said, well, if it's real cold outside, she can come in.
Oh.
So her favorite, he's in his recliner, and mind you, the recliner and the rocker that he has in his house are green, and they're like 40 years old from his grandmother's, because he bought his grandmother's house, and the wallpaper and everything is still the same. And so he's in the recliner, and Gaia now lays on his chest.
Wow.
And she looks him right in the eye, and now he feeds her, he does everything for this cat.
Oh,
He
wow,
lets
that's
her
so
in,
awesome.
she lays on his chest. She doesn't lay in my lap, and I'm her owner. She lays on his chest as he reclines and stares him right in the face. So, yeah, it's really cool.
That's really awesome. I got to check out those pet psychic videos now that you said all that.
Well,
cool.
it's, the animal communicators, it's interesting because it's just like channeling, I think of Magenta, Pixie, and like the channeling that we can all connect to it when we want to, and I don't know. But what I love about it is because Chris, I feel like Chris is my perfect partner because he's so skeptical and he hasn't had any experience with the spiritual realm. And when he can't deny it, then I feel like it's true, even though I know I shouldn't depend on him for that. But it's like, I don't know if you do that with your wife, but if you live with someone and they're so logical.
Right. It adds validity when they believe it. Yeah. Because it's like.
Yeah, like when he heard that lady saying all this, like I could have came home and told him, oh, she knew where Gaia ate. That he has a deep freeze, a big chest deep freeze out in his garage. Well, I put her food up on top of that because cats like to eat up high. I don't know why, maybe for protection or whatever, but they like to climb on counters, whatever, and eat. So I put her food and stuff up on top of that. Well, she described that. She described the garage. And Chris, even after that, made her a little house up in the rafters. He made a house, and he put straw in it and everything for her.
Wow.
After that. Yeah, like but if I would have came home and told him that, he probably, I don't know if it wasn't that he wouldn't believe me, but he just wouldn't have been present for it. Like with your wife, she's experiencing, like it's different when they experience it with you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, it was like when I saw her eyes with the whole JFK thing, when I showed her that there were 6 people in the car and she remembered there was just one woman and stuff, and her eyes got so big, and even though she backed away from it later, like, I don't know, maybe I just forgot or something, and there was still no getting around that very first impression she got when I saw it, like, freaked her out a little bit, you know what I mean? I don't really get to see that look on her face too often, but I could tell it, like, it burned out some wires up top, when something really blows your mind. It like really blew her mind. Like it had me too, but
yeah, but did it validate in you, like, okay,
yeah.
I'm not alone, like,
right, yeah,
I'm
it definitely did. Okay, it's like,
making
okay,
this up, or,
yeah, that look on her face fit what I was feeling when I saw it, so yeah, it was very validating.
Yeah, and like with Blondie and with he has these rules and regulations about what she can eat with her diet and stuff, and now he's coming around. I'm like, why are you paying for this fake beef when I can make her wild deer meat that we know that is organic? And so I'm making her dog food. And I had a dog, Smelly Nellie was her name, and she was 21 years in human years old.
Wow.
And she died a very peaceful death. That dog never ate a bit of dog food in his life. I rescued her from the flea market, and my ex-husband, Mike, which now I look at him so differently. I'll see him tomorrow, actually, for a baby shower for my 6th grandbaby, and her name is Journey Rose.
Wow.
Yeah. But he got so mad at me because she has parvo, and he said the guy knew it. I said, well, it was the sickest little puppy in there, and I couldn't just leave it. It just kept looking at me, and I knew I was supposed to save her life. So I bring this little puppy home. How can he deny? Oh, me and 4 children looking at him with all, and the puppy. We're all looking at him with these puppy eyes. Like, what are you gonna do?
It's one of those Disney moments. Yeah.
We take him to the vet. It costs $800.
Oh my God.
$800 to save this dog's life, and we didn't even know if it was going to save her life. And I remember crying, and the vet handed me a tissue, and I'm like, "Are you going to charge me for this?" It was like everything had a price on it, and I was sarcastic then. I was totally just learning holistic healing, and I was learning, some of that and like how everything works. But yeah, so we saved Snowy Nellie's life. And yeah, she lived 21 years.
Oh my gosh.
With us, but
what was the response when you asked if you were going to get charged for the Kleenex? Was it?
He started laughing. He said no. He said, I won't charge you for water either. And then his name is Dr. Beckett, and he had been my vet for all those years, And I took her back in and to get her spaded, and she was pregnant already. Oh. And he aborted the babies. Oh. And he didn't tell me till afterwards, and I'm like, I don't believe in abortion. I remember going off. And he was like, it's puppies. And Mike was like, oh my God, just pay the bill and get out of here. You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh my God, I would have never okayed it. I didn't know there was puppy. I was freaking out. So then when we would take Snowy Nellie back for our yearly exam, she would stand on her, she was like Benji, but a white. She was a white Benji dog, a terrier. Mm-hmm. She would stand on her hind legs and put her hands on the feet, behind her head, and walk backwards. She wouldn't go in the room. You had to pick her up. She was so smart. But she never ate dog food. And he would be like, you need to feed her dog food. Or she doesn't like dog food. I used to do wild rice and black beans and whatever leftovers we had. And that was her dog food. Mm-hmm. So I would make a big old pot of black beans and wild rice, so I knew she got her protein and stuff. And then we'd throw in our leftovers. And she lived forever, and she died happy. She died a happy death. And I was telling Chris that, with Blondie, because he's buying these, he pays like $60 for this Buffalo Blue Label dog food, right? Yeah. And all this stuff, and then Blondie ends up with heartworms, and we even buy the heartwormer pill, and it costs us $600. And I'm like, why don't we just feed her off the table like we did Smelly Nellie? And he did. Why did you call her Smelly? Did she smell? I'm like, no. We never gave her a bath, and all of her whole life she would go to the creek and wash off, and she never came inside. And she got ran over by a car. Oh, no. Mike saw her get ran over. She was standing in the middle of the road, and the car hit her on the top of the head. She got ran over. Jake, my son, come running, down the driveway. He said, Mom, Nellie's dead. Nellie's dead. Freaking out. I started praying immediately. Go up and put my hands in the dog's laying in the middle of the road. I put my hands on her and start praying. It jumps up. She jumps up and starts running like a wild Indian all over the place, down the road, up the road, back and forth, all around. And the guy was freaking out who ran over her. He goes, she's alive. And we were all freaking out. And I gave her a baby aspirin and put her on my son's waterbed. He had a single waterbed then. And because of the heat, prayed over her, and the dog the next day was fine.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's Smelly Nellie.
That's awesome. Yeah, my mom did that too. And my brother would always bring that up because, man, you were just too little to see. But that time that bird was dead on the ground, and Mom went over and cupped her hands around it, and it just popped to life. And he goes, I'll never forget that, So he remembers. I was too little to know, but for him, it's
but your brother remembers that.
Yeah, I can't convince him any otherwise, I'd be like, man, it was probably just stunned or passed out. And he goes, no, man, it was dead. I know what a dead bird looks like. And, going on and on.
Yeah.
So that was
So
his little
it's
miracle, though.
like, yeah, it's like if we connect with our heart and our third eye, or, you know, that's my logical mindset. That when you move to your heart, all of a sudden I'm like the laughing Buddha. I don't know. I just laugh at everything. Like, I was so sad last week I felt, or the week before, I don't even know, or last week or two, even with Jose. Like, I felt so sad and like, well, actually it was when T. Taylor was last week. And I was asking, what do you do when you feel so sad? I felt so sad. I've been flipped off by people and like driving, and I drive like a granny, very cautiously. I'm like, just pass me, you know, just pass me. Like, I don't do dangerous things when I'm driving. Because I never drove on the interstate until 2000. Let's see, I'll be 48 in May. Well, I drove since I've been 16, but I got my license when I was 18. You know, don't tell the fuzz. I drove on a permit. You know how you have a permit and you know all that stuff. But I never went on the interstate. I had such a fear of it until probably 2011. I started driving on the interstate. So I don't know. I look back on my life and I'm thinking I was afraid of my own shadow. If I saw something, I would scream. Probably, you know. No wonder the spiritual realm hasn't connected with me, because I would have just been passed out.
So much fear, isn't there? Are you doing really good with letting go of all sorts of fear that you had your whole life? I find I am.
Yeah, and the difference is I recognize it and I laugh at it. So I call myself like now, you know, I was so sad last week. And this feeling of sadness because I felt the world around me was angry and in a hurry and not polite and respectful. And I felt sad by it. Like, what is happening that we're so in a hurry that we flip people off that we don't know? You know, and when the guy flipped me off, I hurt my feelings. It really did. Like, my heart hurt. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, I want to make it right. How can I help you? You know, like, that's how I felt in my heart. Yeah. And I blew him a kiss. And he probably thought I was like, kiss my ass, you know, but really I was like, no, I love you. I love you. I love you. It made him madder because he got in front of me and did a brake check. And I'm like, but I love you. I don't mean kiss my ass. I mean, I love you. Nobody gets that, right? Like, it made me so sad. I felt so much sadness, you know? Yeah. And then now I feel like a happy Buddha this week. And even the guy at work, there was this guy named Larry at work. Well, he's been there 3 years, and, you know, a little gal like me comes in, and I pass his numbers up. I haven't even been there 2 months yet. And I'm breaking records. Like, I broke the record for the oatmeal packer. Just so everyone knows, give me a high sparking 5. I packed 112 oatmeal boxes, you know, in an hour, I guess, and then the record was like 80. Oh, wow. But I call in Hank. Hank came to me. He's my production worker, angel, and assistant. His name is Hank. He spoke to me. He was there to help me, and I said, Hank, let's rock it out. And Hank, I mean, I've been excelling. I'm passing people up that have been there 4 years in numbers. And it's funny because I don't mean to, I just do it. You know, I got Hank working out. What am I going to say? Oh, it's not me, it's Hank, my angel, working with me. But this guy, Larry, because I have a Toyota Tacoma, and it's a short bed, and it's you could set it in the back of a pickup truck. You know, an 8-foot bag pickup truck. It looks like a little toy. It's cute as a button, but it's little. And I parked it wrong. Apparently, I didn't pull up like 1 inch past the line. So this guy named Larry comes into the break room at work, Hey, mind you, I've been there about 2 months, right? He comes in and he says, "Where'd you learn to park?" I'm like, who, me? Because you got that Toyota truck out there, that red Toyota truck? I'm like, yeah, actually, I said, her name is Cherry Rita, actually. He's like, well, you need to learn to park. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel embarrassed, and like, this guy is yelling at me across the room. I'm like, would you like me to move it? What? He goes, well, you know what those mirrors on the side of the truck are for? They're to look back, and you see your lines and where you're, I mean, he really was embarrassed me, right?
Aww,
I'm like, would you like me to
jerk.
move? And I know. And I'm like, that was my thought in my mind. And, you know, what I almost said was, well, those mirrors are for me to see you eat my dust, asshole. That's what they're for.
That's so funny. Yeah, all the things you think about. I don't know how many times I've left comments and I was like, okay, delete. That sounds like I'm being a jerk. And, you know.
Right. Like I wanted to say, but all of a sudden he's yelling at me and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this guy, I need to transmute this energy. Like I knew that, and it was from our last week's call about transmuting, like you spoke into it and then T. Taylor spoke into it about transmuting the negative energy into the positive. And, you know, we live that daily as light workers, but we need reminders. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he doesn't feel well. He doesn't feel well. So as he's yelling at me, I'm transmuting this energy into love and respect. And I'm like, Larry, do you think I should move my truck? And then another little gal spoke up, and she goes, like, nobody's going to show up today anyways. It's a nice day. Don't worry about it. And then another guy spoke up, who ended up being my friend who was an alcoholic. He's like, why don't you just park over in the trees? That'd be a better place. So we were like, and Larry goes, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just telling you, you're parked about a half inch over the line. Like, really? So I said, well, I don't really feel like walking back out there. I'm going to leave it and let's just see how the night rolls. And he just left me alone. But now it's a week later, and all I did was pray and said, let there be nothing but love between us. And whatever he needs healed, Lord, let him be healed. And let me stand in the gap between his energy and mine. And I feel like it was a request for prayer, is how I looked at it. Instead of a negative, you know, thought form, I thought, it's a request for prayer. He's calling out for prayer. Like, what else could that be? That's a call for help. And I started praying, and you know what? Now he calls me Miss April.
Now you call him what?
He calls me Miss April. He says, Miss April, do you need anything?
Wow.
He's like my servant now. He's like, yeah, and he just does that. He said, you're doing a great job, Miss April. Thank you. I mean, and he just like, you know, is helpful to me and like kind, like more than kind to me. Like he wants to say I'm sorry, but don't know how. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of other people going through stuff like that similarly, and I'm like, well, you know, it's like if their actions are sort of, you know, don't get caught up on the fact they didn't actually say I'm sorry, you know, because sometimes like people will say they're sorry, but their actions say otherwise. Wouldn't you rather their actions say they're sorry and them not actually say it? So some people just have a hard time actually saying it.
Yeah, and or if people are like, you know, like last week's call, if people are out of the ordinary, you know, flipping you off with these anger issues, like, what if you could see that as a need for prayer? Like, I don't know how to ask for prayer, but I need it.
Yeah.
And then you can easily transmute that with love instead of thinking of as, you know, as anger. Like you say, oh, like they have their hand held up. Like it appears to be they're flipping me off. But really I know they're saying, pray for me. You know?
I love that. It's like, oh, the guy was just holding up he's got a prayer request there on the middle finger.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, okay, and you give them a kiss, and you say, hi, Sparkle 5, and they're like, fuck yeah, because they think you're saying kiss my ass, but you're really like, no, I really mean I love you. I love you, and I'm praying for you. But, you know, who cares what they think? But so now, because from the last conversation to now, this is how powerful we are. Think about that. Like, I was so sad, and I was sad because people were treating me mean. I don't want to be treated unkindly because I'm kind to people. I'm tenderhearted. I wear my feelings on my sleeve, as people would say, or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's not because, I know now it's not because I need acceptance or anything. I'm beyond that. But I feel sad. I don't know what it was, but then, you know, my friend Jesus showed me that, and you, and you know, all of us, T. Taylor, in our conversations, but are just showing me, oh, it's just a prayer request. That's all it is. Pray for me. Oh, they're flipping you. Oh, okay. I don't know what your need is, but you got it. You got it. You're on my prayer list, honey. You're on my prayer list. And, right? Think about that, though.
I'm right with you. That's totally a great way to look at it. And you know, I've been noticing other things too, where people project things on other people, just strangers, like just judgments and of how maybe they look or whatever. And it's like I've been even taking that and sending love to those people, trying to combat the judgmental things about whatever it is.
Well,
you know what
and
I mean?
the word, I think last week the word was ridiculous.
Yeah.
How ridiculous does judgment love? I mean, that's what God showed me, is how ridiculous does that love?
Yeah.
You know, in the scorning of judgment and, you know, hate, how does that resonate with love? It's ridiculous. It doesn't even resonate. It doesn't even make sense. You know, it's not even in the same realm of what we know. So how can we're not meant to understand it. How could we?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to have another more Bible-centered weekend with you on the Friday night love stream, where we talk more about Bible stuff, and that was a lot of fun a few weeks back.
Yeah, I think every conversation we have is like perfect. Like, I think of last week and I say last week. Was it last week or the week before? Because I know we missed last week, didn't we?
Yeah, last week. Yeah, I just had that rebroadcast.
Yeah, but with T. Taylor and how perfect it was. Like, I was feeling so sad in my heart, and it was from all the anger I felt projected upon me, and I didn't understand it. Like, why do people flip me off? I'm in the slow lane. I'm doing the speed limit, and I'm doing everything right. Damn it! So I'm doing everything right.
Right.
What's the problem? Like, do you not see? You not see my rainbow lights underneath my truck lit up? What is this? You know, and it's like, but joining together, it is always biblical. It is always. To me, the written word of God is written on the heart, you know, as you and I have discussed. It's written on the heart. And it's our heart. It's the awakened heart the word of God is written upon. And it's, I go in and out of it. I see it. I know it. Like, I'll go through, I'll think I'm living from my heart, and then my heart speaks, and I'll be like, oh my God, my heart speaks to me. And I haven't lived from it in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever it is. And I long for the day. Like, all I want to do is to love and be loved. Like, who doesn't want that? Even the darkest of souls, what they really wanted was to be loved, that's all.
Yeah.
Even if you would think of Satan as a light bearer, he wanted to be worshipped and loved. He wanted to be worshipped as God was.
Mm-hmm.
And the weakness fell is that the shadow, but God created all of it. So why did God create this darkness if it wasn't to bring us closer to the light?
Yeah.
Right?
It's all about the experience of it all. And it's enjoyable once you realize that you don't have to really worry about too much. I'm just lucky that I realized that I'm like, there's no way I got here, you know, by accident. And I just began to see how things are just really orchestrated, and you can get in the groove of things and go with the flow, and the experience will just be awesome. You know, you really don't have to worry about a lot. We do,
Well,
but we don't have to. I don't think.
yeah, we don't have to, but when you're like, it's interesting when you lose everything and you have nothing to lose. I think is when you can gain everything, and at the same time you don't want to say, oh, you got to lose everything to gain everything, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's like what is important to some may not be important to others. Like you can lose your finances, you can lose your home, you can lose your. To me, I think my biggest loss in this point in my life, my experience in this point, would be my status in religion was my biggest loss. You know,
Yeah.
like.
But then you realize it's all ego stuff.
Yeah, that was my biggest loss, though. It wasn't physical. Like, you could take physical things from me. Like, we could lose homes, we could lose cars, we could lose... I don't care. It sounds like God. You know what I mean? Like, but then my biggest loss was my status with the old was the law. And when I was so juicy. It's so juicy because when you talk about Paul, and you, oh, it's written by Paul, you throw it off. I'm like, it's interesting to me because it's like a mirror. Like, you spot it, you got it, right? If you spot it in someone, you got it within you. And it's interesting to me because I'm thinking, oh, like, but Paul was a man of the law, he was a Pharisee, he did it all. And then he was blinded and saved by Jesus. And wrote the New Testament. And you're telling me, well, it was written by Paul. I'm like, how can you say that? It was just written by Paul. And it's interesting to me because it was like, oh my gosh, like, I still like Paul.
Yeah.
I can resonate with Paul and his Old Testament mindset. A book, chapter, verse, I followed it by a T. I was going to crucify Jesus because he didn't fit the bill of what was supposed to be according to the word, right? Like, in Paul's mind, in his ego, he was righteous. He was saving humanity from falsehood in his mind, right? And what he believed. And I feel like Paul, I can claim my piece of Paul and that false religion and ego of thinking I was self-righteous.
It's like, it's for me, it's just the damage he's done, not so much him as a person, or even what he said.
What if we thought about the damage we done?
What if what?
I'm sorry, I was rinsing my mouth out with listening. But it's called life. But what if we thought about, what if we were, like you and I, we were Paul. Like, we both confessed that we were ego and we thought we were saved and righteous, right?
Yeah.
And the damage
I've been a Paul
with
before.
Our children.
Yeah.
I've been a Paul.
Yeah.
Yes. Why can't we listen with our hearts from the writings of the new Paul, the new creation?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this. At the time when you were going through your Paul thing, if you had been jotting down these letters to different people, would you be happy that they were still floating around and people were taking them as the gospel, or would you be sort of like, oh my God, I can't believe all those letters I wrote are still floating around out there? How would you feel about it?
Oh my gosh. Remember when I told you I get a quiver on my liver sometimes?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it now, and it could be split in the spirit because my biggest letters I've ever written were to my children. In the way I live my life. and I was Paul. I was a Paul when I raised him. I was a Paul 100%, even worse. I was probably double Paul.
Yeah.
You know, like Paul on steroids. And it was like, I look back and they're so great. They're so, like, beautiful and caring and hard workers and everything every parent would ever want their children to be, right? And they even tell me, you raised me right, you raised me right, you raised me right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take back those letters I've written in raising them.
Yeah.
Although I feel like there's so much more to come. It's like, yeah, like this is your foundation, and yeah, you needed that, because if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be who you are now. But there's so much more. Like, it's like taking away astrology. It's like, oh, you were a Gemini, you were this, but now you're not. So what are you going to do now? Who are you going to be now?
Yeah.
So I am thankful for that law and that Paul.
Yeah.
That I was.
And I've often said
would
that.
Would I take back the letters that I wrote as Paul in my Christian walk? No. Because I know those letters helped me become who I am, and I know those letters will help my children become who they are, and I know those letters will help the little children that I taught in Sunday school who they are, because you know why? It was always from my heart.
Yeah. And I have often said that I think we got even with so-called contradictions and problems and errors or whatever you want to call it, that's within the Bible, I feel like we got exactly what we're supposed to get. And the reason I say that is because I was able to find my way through with just the Bible. And so it needed to be what it needed to be, and it even continues to be what it needs to be when I need it to be it, you know. And so there is something very supernatural or magic about the Bible, but for somebody who doesn't really know, or they see it from sort of a superficial religious point of view, they'll totally take what I just said wrong. It'll be like, they'll see I'm just being religious, but it really isn't. It's like there's like very cool metaphysical things that's happened. I've had questions cross my mind, and then a moment later I read a verse that answers it, and I'm like, what the heck? So I've had really cool experiences with the Bible, and I'm who I am today because of it, but I don't see it the way religion sees it. So
I don't either, and that's what, like, I think what we're experiencing is the transformation from the Old Testament to the New. Although we should all be in the New Testament, but it's almost, astrological, we could say, from Pisces to, Aquarius at the same time. And at the same time, would you take back your Paul lessons? Would you personally take back your Paul lessons to who you are today?
Right. And I think...
Would you, though? I mean, no, I'm asking, would you?
No, it's not so much the lesson. It's just like when you move beyond something, right? Like, I don't know, if I've had it like that with music before, I've got music floating around that you don't really agree with anymore, but at the same time, it is what it is. It was written from a very real place, but you see things differently, And then you'd like, I don't know, you feel like you've got information out there that could be fooling someone, but really it isn't. It's like what they need at the place they're at. So it always works out. I understand it from that higher perspective,
But then when you read the Bible, and let me ask you this from your heart, when now that you are now, not your past, but that you are now, when you read the Bible and its letters that are written by Paul, that are supposedly written by Paul. I mean, come on, it's all a download,
Right.
When you read those now, how does that resonate in your truth, and what does that feel like now? Like, if I quote a scripture, you're like, oh, Paul wrote that. Like, seriously, you say that often. Like, if I quote a scripture, oh, Paul wrote that. So how does that resonate in your heart now?
Well, I'm just making the distinction between like Jesus and Paul. You know what I mean? There's like a huge difference, and I always mix those two up because at one point I saw them as similar authorities. So really what I'm saying is Jesus didn't write it. Not that Paul's any less. To answer your question, it really depends on what scripture it is. If we're looking at, Ephesians, when he's talking about, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, or I guess that would be Corinthians. I'm talking about the full armor of God scripture, where he's talking about.
Ephesians. That's Ephesians.
Yeah, that's Ephesians. So I'm thinking like that, and like I could totally resonate with something like that, or when he says that Jesus was the firstborn among many brothers. But then there's other things that's like, I spoke in tongues more than any of you guys, and I'm so glad I did, and it's just all really haughty sounding.
Can you go in and out? Like, my biggest thing I want to eliminate out of the Bible for my own personal truth in my heart is in Hebrews, and Paul wrote Hebrews, was where he said that it talks about your sins are forgiven, but if you trample, I don't know the exact words, but basically if you go back on your word, or if you trample on Jesus Christ, then you will never be forgiven. And I think it's in Hebrews 9 or 10, if you look it up right now. The parts I want to eliminate from the Bible is the unforgiven part. Like, if you trample on the word of God and you once accepted him of Christ and you no longer accept him, then you will be cast out of the kingdom of God. I want to eliminate if you rebuke the Holy Spirit, you shall not be forgiven. I want to eliminate those things. Because it brings fear. And then I think, well, what brings fear is not from love.
Yeah.
Because I can look at my sins and have regret and remorse and no fear.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then there's a part in me that used to be very rampant, but now is less. It speaks way less. It's kind of a whisper. Is the fear factor of guilt and shame that pop up. But I know that's satanic, and when I say it's satanic, I mean it's negative energy. It's untruth. It's untruth from the wholeness of one, from love. So there's that in me that brings up this. I'm not ever going to be good enough. Have I denied the Holy Spirit? But wouldn't I know if I did, if it's such a great sin? Am I cast out from the kingdom of love because I didn't believe this way? Like, all of that, I feel fear in my gut. Do you feel that?
Yeah, and that's actually what the Law of One said to when you're discerning the Bible. If it's rooted in fear, then no, it wasn't supposed to be there, or it shouldn't be taken as like the gospel. It said.
It's interesting because I've never read that, the Law of One. I know you've spoken into it, but I've never read that or experienced that.
You should check it out. It's really, really cool.
Yes, sounds good.
It's really a mind-opening, mind-expanding adventure to go through that material and just hear them talk about, because they talk about all sorts of things that you'll find super interesting, knowing that what you know about the Bible and stuff. So I would definitely say.
Wouldn't you say as a like, not that there should be, could be, would be, but just in doing and being, as what that would say. Ing means walking in the Spirit. Did you know ing means walking in the Spirit? Like, everyone should listen to her. I mean, I know it's just a little bit like out there, but I like it, because if you read the Bible, you're like, yes. That makes sense now.
So you're talking about Levette, right?
Levette, yes.
Yeah.
But in, so let's just say being, like, it's walking in the Spirit. Like, don't you think walking in the Spirit, everyone should, like, be in the knowing of the Word? like the Bible, like at least read it from, at least, you know, there's a program you can get on and you can read the Bible in a year from Genesis to Revelation. And you can't go wrong in reading it.
Right.
Reading, because it's in spirit. You can't go wrong, even though you know that you know what you know now. Like, if I reread it now, as you know, in your experience and mine, I can go back in Scripture. Like, being a friend of Christ now means something so deeper to me than it ever meant before.
Yeah.
Ever. Because I was reaching out for a bosom friend. Ever. Like, I was so lonely. And then I'm thinking, I have this friend in Christ. Like, I've had it this whole time.
Right.
But I forgot that I had that. Because, like you said, throwing the baby out with bathwater, you know? I don't know where that came from, but that's really bad. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Who does it? Nobody really does. It's like that nursery rhyme, like rocking the cradle in the tree and the wind blows and the cradle falls down. Like, who put these nightmares in our nursery rhymes?
London Bridge is falling down. Yeah, they're all pretty doom and gloom, huh?
Like, what is this? Okay, so I'm just saying, like, I like this saying, not seeing the forest in spite of the trees. You can see the trees around you, but you forget about the forest. That makes better sense.
Well, for me, that's why I had to read it.
I have never emptied the bathwater and threw my baby out.
Right. But for me, that's one of the things, having to read the Bible so many times, is to sort of unravel it each time, you know, and consider things differently. You're like, well... So I think anybody that's reading, like what you're saying, to read through it, if somebody can do it without religion attached to it and just really take it all in and just sort of forget anything you've heard about what it means to be Jewish or Christian or anything, and just read it, I think they'd be way better off with what they come up with, you know?
Or even reading it, like even the Bible says, there's, you know, and we go in and out of heart. Like, think about we are God's experience. We are a divine experience. So, think about divine experience in reading the Bible, like going in and out of spirit, like being able to discern, like put the intention, I'm able to discern between spirit and ego. Like when it's the ego of man speaking and when it's actually the spirit of God speaking. And then, like, I'm going to challenge myself, actually. I'm going to challenge myself to read it again from Genesis to Revelation. And, you know, you get these Bibles that have these programs, read it in a year. But I'm going to go by that because I've read it probably 15 times. And I hold it in my memory, in my heart. But I was a different person when I discerned it then. As I am now, you know, like, I'll hear things and I'll remember Scripture and then I'll read it and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it makes so much. It's so different now.
You need to keep like a notepad handy, though, because if it's going to be like it was for me. I came across, it's like hard for me to read anything in there and me be like, wow, that doesn't seem like it read exactly that way. It seems like changes just throughout everywhere. So
yeah, there are a lot of changes, the Mandela effect. And then, you know, where are we with that even? Like, what is the Mandela effect? What is the purpose of it? And then you think of all these theories, and then you think it's almost like, why does it matter? Like, to me right now, it's like, oh, there's another Mandela effect. Like, I feel like getting a T-shirt that says, there's another Mandela effect. Like, to me, it's at the point of, why does it matter? What's the meaning behind it?
I think it is. It's like the alarm clock. That's why, you know, I didn't want to be another channel that just focused on that all the time, because I feel like it's like paying attention to the alarm clock. But not that doesn't serve an important purpose. Like Moneybags is a great channel that's covering a lot of stuff, and you know, I think that's a really needed thing for people just coming into it. But I think it's a huge wake-up call, because when you really see it's happening, it's, you know, it makes you go back to the drawing board. And I think for a lot of people that helps with religion, to dismantle it and say, well, why is this happening? First off, you know.
I don't know about you, but I pretty much wake up every day at the drawing board. Lately. You know what I mean? Like, every day is like, what the freaking... Sometimes I say, what the fuck? Sometimes I say, what the F? It's according to what kind of mood I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's every day I wake up at this drawing board, and I think, okay, well, I can look at this drawing board and think, who am I? What am I? What the freak is this? Or I can create what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm starting to draw on the drawing board, and it's like now I'm at the point like, okay, well, I was drawing from my logical mind. Now I got to draw something. All right. The drawing board even changes, and that's really freaky.
Yeah.
Like you wake up, you know what I mean? And now the drawing board changes, and then what's next? And I don't even know what I'm going to wake up to, but at the same time, I'm anticipating that, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That's the joy of all of it. That's why I think, that's why I thought it was really important to bring Sherry in on Mondays, because I think we should. There's like that guest we had on, Kevin, that was had that website. If you can, it's under that video. I want to say it was like First Contact or something. But anyway, it has a section where you can get these tips about telepathy and stuff. And I'm like, wow, these are great tips. I mean, I think while we're supposedly waiting for some event or something, we could be, playing around with this like telepathy and abilities that we really have, and we just don't really know how to use it. And I think learning how to go out of body and all sorts of things.
I keep going back to scriptures. I remember saying to the elder in the church, some things he would always say, some things you're not meant to know. Some things you're not meant to know. And push me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found the scripture in Ephesians that said, we can know the depth, the breadth, everything of God we can know in Ephesians. And I feel like, why do we have to play around with all this crap?
Yeah.
I don't want to play beach ball anymore. Let's get real. Let's play the soccer game. I want to fight this crap. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then we have this possible earthquake energy, 7th grade, according to, what is the gentleman's name that, I call it the real weather.
Mr. MVB?
Yeah. And so even my boyfriend, he's like, what's the weather? I'm like, you want the real weather or you want the fake stuff? Now we listen to both. It's so fun. But he's calling for these earthquakes, right? And you know what I'm paying for? The ultimate shift. Like, let's just do it. Crack this shit. Like, let's just do it and bring Aquarius age in. Because, that's all about Aquarius age. We would say the coming of Christ, divine love, new earth, fifth dimension, whatever label you want to put on it. Let's have the earthquake. Because I don't know about you. I don't care if I go to work on Monday.
Right.
Let's do a 7th grade. Like, I don't care what it is. Let's blow this crap up and do it. Because I'm ready for the new age, aren't you? I'm ready for the shift.
Oh, yeah.
And the others who aren't ready will be ready anyways, because it always happens at the right time. So we don't even have to worry about thinking, like, are we selfish or are we not? It doesn't matter. I thought to me nothing. It's always going to be divine timing, but if we pray enough and bring in the energy in, if divine comes in and makes it happen, everything was perfect. If divine doesn't, it wasn't ready, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just saying I'm ready. Like, bring it on. Bring it on.
That's so funny, because I can think of like a number of us that are like, man, if something big happens, I get to miss work tomorrow.
Particularly.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we could just get 144,000 people do a DNA test, salt comes and everything, and check the vibration, do solar power generation, and get involved. like maybe we should have a channel 144,000. And just,
get a roster.
Like, seriously. Yeah, like, if you have to go to Planet Fitness 4 hours a day, you have to do the beauty and Philippines and light therapy. You have to wear color therapy, yellow sunglasses at least 2 hours of the day, and only eat chicken at noon, and you can never, ever have red meat on Friday, and then, boom, we're going to bring it up.
Oh, my gosh. That's the religion coming through with the more rules, though, I think.
Isn't that so true? Think about it. Like, what? Isn't it, like, so funny and so true at the same time? Like,
yeah.
Think about how the Bible was written. Like, if we make all these rules, we can make it happen. Think about it. It was from love and from anticipation and from enthusiasm that they were even made.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's a trip to think about.
Yeah, and we're doing kind of the same thing. Like, oh, if you do this toning, if you put your toenails on Tuesday, and you have meatloaf on Wednesday, and and you know what? At the end of the day, does it even matter? Like, have you ever thought about that? Does it even matter? Like, it matters what we do, right? Like, all we can do is what Jesus said, to be my friend is to love one another.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
It's a golden rule. That sums it up really well.
Yeah. All we can do is love one another. We can make all these assumptions and rules and rub lotion on and potion. And don't get me wrong. If you told me there was like a fountain of youth, spa at the Holiday Inn on block 122 or whatever, I would go there. Like, it's like, at the same time, I'm thinking, at the same time, we're so hungry for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, like, let this major earthquake happen with no harm to humanity. Like, who would want someone to be hurt? No. But I just want the shift, don't you?
Yeah, have it crack open and we all fall into the light beaming out of the crack and 5D, yeah.
You were getting ready to say the abyss, weren't you?
The light abyss. No, but that's all exciting and stuff. I didn't even realize how late it is. I've got to actually wrap this up.
Yeah, I know.
It was a pleasure. I'm so glad you talked to me because nobody else was calling in. So.
Oh, great. I feel so wanted.
Well, I didn't mean it that way. I just meant it just worked out great, I thought.
No, it is perfect, and I always enjoy it. And like I said, I love listening to Ronnie. I love us. I think we're all very powerful. And as summer comes along, we'll probably get fewer showing up. But big shout out to Eileen and the 40-day journal. It works. Like, I'm totally open to sharing my journal. On a scientific level, if you can read it. Some days I wrote so fast I couldn't even read it. Like, what? And but it works.
That's cool. Yeah, we'll definitely revisit that again because I know I need to do it, but I don't have anything that's pressing, I guess, enough at the moment.
Well, maybe you don't, though. Maybe you don't need to do it. Like, I needed to do it because when she's spoken to, like, I like to write, that resonates with me, but it may not resonate. Maybe you need to write a song that you sing and play on your drum. It's what resonates with you. Maybe some people need to paint, like I think of Michelle, like maybe she needs to just do her Mandela art, her coloring book. And, for me, writing works. For those who like to write and their hearts in writing, it works. Like, I believe in the power of script writing. And I think it's because of the written word of God, and it resonates with my heart. But it may not resonate with you. You may need to write a song, or play the same song every day for 40 days, like a song from your heart to God.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I don't think anything should be forced anymore. Like, we have plenty of altar boys, there's nothing that should be forced anymore. If it doesn't feel right, just don't do it. If it feels right, then do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been realizing that more and more. That's perfect.
Yeah. Could you imagine writing a journal and every day you're like, oh, crap, day one, this sucks. Day two sucks.
I could totally imagine that.
Right. What if you were drum on your drum and said, day one, a song to God from my heart, like, I love you, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you would be doing the same thing in song as I would be doing in writing.
Yeah.
Like, fantabulous hair day every day. Maybe you want fantabulous. Maybe. I was telling you, it works. My hair looks like Feather Fawcett. Back in the day. When she had
yeah. I remember Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, when you got people come up to you forever saying, I think you should be like the spokesperson for L'Oreal magazine.
That's awesome. Wasn't there actually some Farrah Fawcett hairspray?
Oh, I don't remember that. That must
Seems
be
like they
out.
in that show Stranger Things, one of the kids used some of it or something. Don't tell anybody. It's Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, was it Aquanaut?
I don't know. I could just totally be making it up. I don't know.
I think you're making it up, but that's cool. I like it. Yeah, so write your song or paint your picture, but do it for 40 days. That's, the 40-day thing works. So whatever it is in someone's heart and how they express and communicate with spirit, whether it be writing, painting, song, what else? Could there be, let it be for 40 days.
Even if it's dancing or anything, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, and she made a note, and I know you're in a hurry, and I'm going to choose it. I don't know why, because I'm just going to bed. It's really boring. but if you write it, you can write it differently every day. Like one day I might write, you want to use gratitude or thankfulness. That's the key. And you got to fill it. I'm thankful. Like I'd be in gratitude for full-time, fabulous hair and skin and nails, and everybody, I would write, everyone knows this girl has a great hair day, everything good, right? Or the next day I might write, oh my gosh, great hair day, great experience, thank you God. You can change it,
right,
the words with the same concept.
And that keeps it from
and that made it
getting too repetitive too.
Right, and it made it easier.
Yeah.
Because, in the scripture, the Bible says a repetitive prayer, or that God doesn't hear repetitive prayer.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No, but I can totally get that.
Yeah, it's in there. Like, a repetitive prayer, God doesn't hear, it's not, it's got to be from your heart. It's not like, now I lay me down to sleep. But
no, I do remember that, but I can't remember where it is, yeah.
Yeah. So, same thing, think if you're repeating the intention, but your heart's not in it. So, if you can change it by words with the same concept, you can bring your heart creation into that's what, I'm just speaking from experience in my
Yeah,
now
I totally agree, yeah.
From that, for my first 40 days, my second 40 day, now I'll start a new one, I don't know what it's going to be. I may wait a few days off and really sit with myself and be like, what do I want now? But I wrote it differently. It wasn't the same with, repetitive words every day.
Yeah.
And I may write a song. I used to write music. I used to write songs that my ex-husband used to inspire me. They were sad, country songs.
They got their place.
I think about it because I've been so inspired. What is my song? But, yeah, so write a song and it would be cool. At the end of 40 days, if you could share it with us and then, and share what happened. And it's so funny that mine happened on the 39th day.
Yeah.
And I think the first one I did happened on the 32nd day, where I saw results.
Right.
So
is it like you can just end it if you get your way by then? I guess you're like, hey, cool.
What is it? I kept it at 40 days, but I always kept it in the now. I would be like, okay, my bosom friend, I'd be like, now that I am experiencing, because experience to me is truth. Right. So I can say when you experience something, it becomes truth. So now that I'm experiencing, I would say, my fascinating time with my bosom friend serving in the kingdom of love, I feel great gratitude in my soul. I would put it in the now moment. And the next day I might write, now that I'm experiencing the experience of fascinating, I may not use the word fascinating, I may have said this awesome, intuitive, heartfelt connection with my bosom friend, I'm in gratitude. And then, and then same way with my full-time fabulous hair, skin, and nails. Because I was experiencing some hair loss, honestly. I had seen, my whole life, I had always had, seemed like thinning hair, I would lose hair, you brush your hair, lose hair, kind of thing. And I thought, it's my loss of power. You know, I know, you know, from Samson and Delilah, it's loss of power. Like, where am I giving my power away? This is BS. So I started saying, like, you know, remove and eliminate any BS. It's causing hair loss, like loss of power. So then I put that, you know, full-time fabulous hair, and a great hair day. And seriously, I'm losing way less hair. Way less hair.
And it looks
As I
great.
brushed it, washed it. It is great. It's better faucet great. Like that. It is. I didn't even put that in there. I should write that. That, you know, but now it's over. I gotta experience something else. But I should have put Farrah Fawcett and fabulous hair. You know? But to be saying that I should be the spokesperson for L'Oreal hair, like that, cool. I'll take that. And to get in the beauty angel machine that shakes it and tones it and rejuvenates and regenerates every cell and fiber of your being, like, that's a great manifestation, right?
Yeah, beaming that infrared light in there. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So what do you want to, what's your song going to be?
Actually, I've been writing several songs for John Benny, and I haven't.
No, for you, what is your song?
Well, just, you know, things we discuss on the show.
Just think about it.
Yeah.
What do you want to manifest?
And it's so funny you say that because I
Gathering?
like. Yeah, like, I think that was the first one. The second one was just, I don't know, like synchronicities and, I don't know, just cool stuff. It's like cool stuff. That doesn't say much, but no, just like, just all the stuff that makes us weird.
No, because that could get really freaky. Because cool stuff fall in, like. Yeah, I don't think you wanted to bring me cool stuff.
Right. Cool stuff equals evil stuff. All right. Guess
No, cool stuff could be a cigarette. Cool, menthol. You know?
Oh, right.
All of a sudden, like, nothing evil, because if you think about it, like, as we manifest in the light and love of God, we don't have evil thoughts.
No. I was talking about the
don't.
perspective of others, though. No matter what I do,
I
it's going to be evil to somebody.
Who cares?
I know. It's just funny.
They only need prayer. That's just a prayer request, huh?
Right. I got to remember that. That's good stuff.
Yeah. When somebody flips you the bird, they're just saying, pray for me. And you add them to the prayer. You say, what's your name, honey? Lily. Thank you, Lily. I'll put you on the prayer list. You know, like, and then they may not even give you their name. You just have to be like, God, whatever their name is, put them on the prayer list. Lord knows they need it.
I'm going to remember that. And definitely remember sending love to the moon as well.
It's interesting. Like, that doesn't resonate with me because of the whole, and I know we could talk for another hour, and I know you can't, but I'm thinking of, like, the whole, you know, who's Ike? David Ike? Is it David Ike? The whole thing of the moon being this false transmission.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's in my mind. So there for me, I will say, Allison, I've been sending love and healing light and harmonizing the heavenly bodies. I want to bring them all into harmony, and I say, may they all come in harmony with agape, love, truth, and light creator. And that's all I need to do, is harmonize the heavenly bodies with agape, love, truth, and light creator, which is the ultimate love. And if they harmonize, then I say, you know, I call Jesus my friend, my guru, waymaker, and I'm like, Jesus, remove any and all negative bullshit. That's just what I say. It's like, it works. So that's what I'll do with the moon. I've been doing that, and that's what I'll continue to do, because you know, this little seed that was planting in my mind, like, what is the moon, you know?
Yeah. Why does it have waves going across it? Yeah, there's a bunch of weird stuff with the moon.
Yeah.
I can't wait to figure that
out. I just have to, like, find a happy, neutral place. Like, okay, the moon, I don't know what the moon is, but we're going to neutralize it and harmonize it with agape. So how's that?
Yeah.
Like, even if it is created from the power that be, we can harmonize it in our hearts and with agape, and bring in the new earth.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
I can't wait to hear about your 40-day journey with your art or your song or however, anyone and everyone. We're probably the only ones on here, and it doesn't matter. Like we're, it's all good. But if we can harmonize that with whatever our creative heart source is, and in 40 days from this date come back and tell, it may happen on the 21st, it may happen on the 29th, or, for me, like the day before.
Yeah.
And just I want to do it once a day. I didn't do it twice. I did it once.
Yeah, that'd be hard to keep up twice.
Well, I did it once in a 24-hour period, and I did use a journal that I did put an intention to a power and a pen. I used a pen that I used with intention and power. So basically, I did a sacred ceremony for both, in my own heart, in my own way, in my own prayer. It could be, if you believe in the moon, putting it out to the full moon or the new moon. It could be planting it in the earth. Whatever your ceremony is.
Mm-hmm.
But I did sanctify my journal and my pen, and I use it only for that. I don't know if that matters, but it did work.
I'm the same way. I don't know if this matters. I guess I'll try it this way.
Yeah. It's sanctified, set aside, and filled with the Holy Spirit. All right. I shall let you go.
All right. Lots of love to you, April. Thanks for calling in again.
Lots of love to everyone, and just remember, if someone gives you the bird, it's a prayer request.
Exactly. A bird. I like that. Gives you the bird.
Yeah. Give you the bird.
Lots of love. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks again, April. Lots of love to you.
Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.